Business Access TV welcomes you to our coverage of the Tech Beach Retreat Regional Roadshow Mixer right here at Regis in New Kingston under the theme, The Future of Tech in the Caribbean. I'm your host, Amita Pasadbe. Please stay tuned for highlights.
Welcome, one and all. Firstly, apologies. I was planning to wear my tux today, but we were really working up to the last minute before you came to get this center up and running. There's still a few minor touches for us to put on, but I hope you like what you see. So you are here at Regis. We are the world's largest provider of workplace solutions, ranging from products for if you work from home and you just want a more professional image for your business, if you need to pop in to use a meeting room, or for our core products, which are office space. Fully furnished, or, bells and whistles included, from your telecoms, IT, even down to your gourmet coffee or during the day. So if you want to have a look to see what we have to offer, please grab one of the Regis team, and we'll be happy to show you around. We also have some goodie bags for you to take away when you leave. And in them, you would have a free lounge pass. So we want you to come and test out our product. If you want to leave your business cards, we will be also doing a prize draw for a free meeting room for a day. And also, we're running a promotion. So anyone that signs up for office space before the end of November, signs up for at least 6 months, we will give you 3 additional months free of charge. So that's a 33% discount. So looking forward to seeing all of those opportunities and those business cards flying in. So thank you very much for popping down, and please grab one of the team if you want to have a look around.
You know, I did a self-guided tour by myself around the space earlier this evening. And, you know, I am shocked at how many offices are in here. It is insane. So when you imagine all of these offices being filled with entrepreneurs and businesses all doing work and the kind of energy that can happen in this space, you really know that we're creating something special here. So thank you again, Darren. And now, Kirk, no wine for you, because I'm going to introduce you right now, the man of the evening, who is going to moderate our panel and introduce our panelists, Kirk Hamilton.
Some people in the room may be asking, what is Tech Beach? I always am fascinated but also thankful when people are willing to come out and hear about something that they have not much a clue of. So that's appreciated. Tech Beach is a platform designed to really set firm an ecosystem in the Caribbean around technology and innovation. Most of us in this room are savvy individuals within the corporate world or business world, or we're entrepreneurs, and we all yearn for a different Jamaica, a different Caribbean. A Caribbean that is forward-thinking, a Caribbean that is faster-paced, a Caribbean that ideas can thrive in, and so someone can come up with something and turn it into even more. And as a 32-year-old individual, I always say to people that the challenge I've faced is, for my 3 decades on Earth, the Jamaica I know, as wonderful as it is, has never seen economic growth in any meaningful way. And I've never witnessed transformation. We're now starting to see a change on the island, and we're very excited about it. But what we feel needs to happen is there needs to be greater levels of opportunity for collaboration. There needs to be obviously greater levels of access to capital. But a lot of times we talk about these things without understanding the fundamentals of how these elements interact and how these things come together and really help to create a true economy, right? There's a conversation nowadays in Jamaica increasingly about inclusive growth. You'll hear that term over and over and over. I'll share with you, as we step into this panel discussion and as I give you a little insight into Tech Beach, I usually say to people that a lot of these terminologies come into play in Jamaica and the wider Caribbean 5 or 10 years too late. No different than when we talk about technological innovations and such like that. And so if you think about what inclusivity really means, ultimately we're starting a conversation that says outside the walls of this gathering, there are people who should be involved in our economy who for some reason, for just about all of our entire lives, have been left out of the conversation. And it is suddenly happening that our private sector is acknowledging the reality that the more people who can buy my product in a sustainable manner, the better off I am, right? Personally, I don't think it's rocket science, but it is a shift and a trend that has happened in the world that has actually led to the creation of a lot of the platforms that we aspire to and want to see be successful in the region. So when you think about platforms like Airbnb and Uber and the conveniences that these things deliver to us, ultimately they're built on the pillar of inclusive growth, because what they're saying is we can democratize an industry, bring more people into it by utilizing technology to bring down the costs.
Dodgen Global offers a CPA scholarship program to team members who join our team. A career in accountancy at Dodgen Global is a great choice and can offer you excellent job prospects. We believe that an accounting education is the greatest gift you can give yourself or anyone else. Few gifts make as significant an impact as the gift of an accountancy education with a job. It's a contribution that lasts a lifetime in the form of learning, opportunity, and success. Join our team and get the opportunity to be part of our CPA scholarship program. This scholarships awards program will be administered by the HR department of Dodgen Global. Requirements: first degree in accounting, employed at Dodgen Global, willing to pursue the CPA examination. Here's how to apply. Submit application to Staff Accountant, Dodgen Global. Email sa@dodgen.com.
The Good Life, your weekly dose of information on nutrition, wellness, and fitness. Discover ways to nurture your mind, body, and spirit.
The theme of tonight was, or is, the future of technology in the Caribbean. And I'll just go ahead and try to shape the conversation, but ultimately, you know, within Tech Beach, we deal with a lot of emerging technologies that seemingly are shifting the conversation and changing the landscape around the world. And what we really want to look at this evening is, where are we now? Where can we be? And I don't think it would actually hurt to discuss a bit where we're coming from. And I'll just set the tone by saying I think we've come a long way despite the way that we have to go.
I recently started my own tech company, Innovate 10X. I do believe it's a world of digital opportunities right now. I've had left my safety of my 9-to-5 job. I had a very senior position at JMMB. And I think it was about time for me to look and see where I could actually, you know, see where I could make use of these opportunities. And the way I see it now, especially in the Caribbean, and I'll include the Latin American market, you're talking about 40 million people, right? And most of the solutions, digital solutions worldwide, if people buy them and try to implement them, they typically just don't work. Because what works in another country, their unique situation, is different from what exists in the Caribbean. And therefore, I see where there are opportunities for us in the Caribbean to learn from what's going on elsewhere in the world, to partner with those that have actually gone before us and bring those solutions to the region.
Being within the ICD group, which you can explain to folks the makeup of the ICD group, but being within an organization like that that has been around for a long time, you're charged with leading transformation there, which includes a digital focus. I guess at an enterprise level, what do you see happening, especially within an enterprise level organization that has been around?
Right. Okay, so thank you. Hi, everybody. Hi. Okay, everybody's plugged in. Great. So I think the perspective that I bring is actually a bit more unique than just being inside of ICD Group, because most of my working career has been away. And so I've been with ICD for the last 5 years, really charged with, as Kirk has said, transformation. And it started out as digital, but then what we had to create inside is what I think most companies here in Jamaica are missing the mark on, and that is recognizing that in order for digital transformation to be successful, there's a significant amount of people and cultural transformation that has to take place first. And why I say that I think that a lot of corporations are missing that is because outside of even digital transformation, I don't find that in Jamaica there is a significant amount of investment in people and culture, at least not when compared to other countries that I've worked in. And what happens is they tend to push the technology first, push for the change. You know, we need to automate, and you know, we have too many of these things not working, and too much paper, and too many books, and all of that. And so the CIOs will drop a new piece of technology in and say, okay, use that, right? And then everybody's like, okay, make my life more hell, why don't you, right? And so what I've discovered is that if you can enroll the leadership of the organization in where you're headed, from what does transformation look like when you actually have it, right? Then you can help with getting the people that have to actually deliver that transformation to help you get there.
Lauren, I'd like you to give us, from the kind of startup perspective, especially in the age of bringing in completely new solutions into the market, what you see happening in the landscape and how you see things going at the moment.
All right, thanks, Kirk, and good night, everyone. So I'm Lauren Peart, and I'm the CEO of Blue Dot, and we are a decision support services company. In other words, we provide insights via research and data to our clients. You asked initially, you know, where we're coming from, and I think that, you know, like you and I had discussions before, I think it's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur in Jamaica right now. I think there's a lot of opportunities that are present now, especially that were not present when I started Blue Dot 4 years ago, or even when I first went to the Brancy Center in 2013 as a little hustler. So, you know, just things such as venture capital or angel investment, or even just capital, and you know, was non-existent. And now we have all of this capital that's available for young entrepreneurs like myself. SSL, they just invested in us. Thanks, Lamar. And you know, the outlook is really good.
What I would get to know is, I think everyone on this panel can actually give some insight into technologies that you think will drive the transformation in Jamaica. And this is definitely very open prediction, like, you know, this is not a class, but I would love to hear from you all, you know, as we hear about things like artificial intelligence and the blockchain and such like that.
Before we get into that, I always have to raise this issue. So in Jamaica, it is nearly impossible to register IP that is not a portion or some sort of mechanical device, because the Patent Act is from 1860 something. So I think that's a good segue, because that is a prohibitor of tech here. It is nearly impossible, and I'm hoping that some people will help me to lobby the government for that, from that point of view.
Okay, great. So I think that it's really more basic types of technology that are going to really kickstart things here. And I say that because, so we've, I brought Laren in a couple of times to pitch to different entities within the group. So for those of you that don't know, ICD has 9 groups within the portfolio now, right? And for the more traditional legacy companies, data is really, really, really important. And so I find that any type of technology that has to do with business intelligence or analytics, I think that type of technology will be quite foundational and is something that people can buy into because they get it. They see how it's going to benefit their businesses. And so I think that he's actually in a great space. So anything that is doing analysis, I think for sure.
I think cloud technologies is where it is. So the larger corporations, they would have gotten a head start because they're big, they have the large IT budget, they have this CRM system, Oracle financial systems and all that. The small enterprise, if they're smart, they can sign up maybe $30 a month US and have a very good CRM system for 5 users, or an accounting system that rivals what some of these large organizations are doing. So you can actually have a very efficient organization that rivals the technology that other the larger institutions may have. The cloud technology, like Google technology in terms of sharing and collaboration, that's actually available to everybody. So a lot of these business people, they're so busy, dealing with the sales and the accounting. Again, that's opportunities for entrepreneurs and tech companies to work with these small enterprises and show them that, look, I can really make it a lot more efficient. Robotic process automation has taken on like wildfire over there. It's like where you're giving each person their own personal robot. That's how they're actually pitching it now. But this, again, is cloud-based technology.
Cameo takes you behind the scenes of Jamaica's exploding creative industries to give you an insider's look at how creatives get the job done.
I'm really, really picky about how we treat our customers.
As creative people, we went a little bit over the top.
Each week, we interview innovators leading the charge in their industry. The chaos of creativity meets the stricture of structure on Business Access TV's Cameo.
Regis is the global leader in service offices. So service offices here at Regis is all about flexible workspaces and flexible working. So businesses, young startups, entrepreneurs, or existing businesses who are looking for ready-to-use serviced offices where you pay one invoice a month and it's all inclusive. This is the place for you. Whether it's a 4-person outfit or a 20-person business, you can get an office for a day, for a week, for a month, for a year, and our office space is our core product. On top of our kind of core product of office space, we have the virtual office where we will manage your mail, we will manage your answering, we'll manage your telephone, so telephone answering, mail management. And depending on your level of needs, your level of requirements, we have different types of virtual office products. We also have meeting rooms, so clients in the center who need a boardroom or need a project meeting room, they can rent that for a half a day, for an hour, for 2 hours, and they get a discount as clients here. But it's also open to non-clients who need meeting rooms and want a very professional and productive environment. We provide that service too. And then we've got Business Lounge membership, and that membership allows you access to 3,000 Regis lounges right across the world. So if you're a member here, if you're in Miami or London or New York or Singapore, you can go to Regis Center, you'll turn on your laptop and you'll connect to the Wi-Fi seamlessly. In addition to that, we've got co-working if you just want to rent a desk by the month. We also offer that service. So there's a lot of flexible working solutions and workspaces for the modern day business person, the modern day businesses. So when you look at what we have in our centres in Barbados or in London or in Trinidad or in Hong Kong, we get a diverse mix of businesses. So we're very excited about launching here in Jamaica, launching here in New Kingston. And in a few weeks' time, we'll start to see the community here develop, and we'll start to see a nice thriving business centre happening here. With it's going to be very interesting to see the types of customers and the types of clients we get coming in our door.
So tonight we explored what is happening in the global landscape from a technology and innovation perspective, and the possibilities for development here in Jamaica and the wider Caribbean. How these new innovations are affecting the global business environment, how it's affecting us. Ultimately, we started a discussion on how people in the Caribbean can start building their own solutions, what needs to happen for companies to start going from zero to big enterprise in little to no time, in the way that we've seen things happen with organizations that we all know like Airbnb, Uber, and such like that, which in many cases didn't exist 10, even 15 years ago. Ultimately, what we offer is an all-inclusive campus-style environment where the best in the Caribbean meet the best in the world. And the idea generally is that people are able to connect in a very meaningful way. It's a very immersive experience. We primarily explore emerging technologies, right? So we've sparked a conversation that is not very typical in Jamaica. Things like blockchain technology, robotics, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality. But we look at them from a very practical level. What is happening in business, how things are shifting, and what we are known for is our ability to attract the best in the world, the best in industry in these spaces, right? Including, of course, our very own best in Jamaica and the wider Caribbean as well, right? So some of the speakers include people like Michelle Romano, who's a dragon on Dragon's Den, and also the founder of a company called Clearbank. Founder of Vonage, a gentleman by the name of Jeff Pulver, who's joining our platform for the second time. We have people coming from companies like MasterCard, Airbnb, Google, Facebook, and such like that. We actually have an official Facebook workshop happening at Tech Beach for digital marketers. But then on the other side, we have people like Nadine Matthews from NCB, who's leading the transformation of Jamaica's largest bank. We have people like the CEO of JMB Bank, Jerome Smalling. We have the CEO of BCIC Insurance, which is doing they're doing a lot of interesting things in the insurance space. A gentleman by the name of Peter Levy. So we also tend to look at what is happening on the ground and try and bring those conversations to the table as well, and give them a global platform to share what they're doing with the rest of the world.
So we're here tonight at the Tech Beach Retreat. Mixer, your thoughts?
I thought it was amazing. I mean, what Tech Beach is really good at is bringing the discussion that's happening at Silicon Valley and other places to Kingston, to Jamaica, and we did that again tonight. I mean, we talked a lot about how can we incorporate blockchain and AI into technology and into companies in Jamaica, and the insights that the panel gave were really, really good. So,
Talk to us about Tech Beach itself. You've been before.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I've been every year that it has happened, and every year I can't walk away from the panels that are there because it's so engrossing to have the quality and the caliber of the people that are discussing at a very high level these changes that are going to affect every single human being for the next 10, 20, 30 years. So it's not missable at all. If you're interested in the trends in tech and the future of tech, you have to go to Tech Beach. There's nowhere else to go. Yeah.
The center, Branson Center officially moved to Kingston in 2017 after being Mobay since 2011. How was the transition and why?
It's been really fantastic because 70% of our entrepreneurs are actually based in Kingston, all of our partners, the media, etc. So we feel like we've really had more of an impact and we're more integrated into the entrepreneurship ecosystem being based here in the business hub of Jamaica. And I think we actually also changed our strategy to target scale-up entrepreneurs, growth stage entrepreneurs instead of startups, and that has had really amazing results. Lauren is one of our entrepreneurs. He was on a panel here. He got a great investment this year from SSL Ventures too, and we have a lot of other entrepreneurs like that that are investment ready, and you're going to see a lot more of them in the coming months.
What are your thoughts about the Tech Beach Retreat mixer this evening?
I think it's excellent. This is my first time here at the Mingle, and it would be my first time going to the retreat soon. I feel like it's a family here, brothers and sisters, very like-minded persons, and I'm excited to learn. I mean, I'll contribute where I can, but it's really about learning and sharing where we can, you know?
As someone that has a tech-based business, what would you say are some big challenges that are facing, I guess, startup businesses within the technology industry?
Well, you know, a lot of one of the challenges, especially for small businesses, is knowing what is out there. So, researching what's the best systems available to you to meet your needs. From a simple point-of-sale system, there are so many out there you can buy, from the hardware to the software, etc. Those are challenges in and of itself. Another thing that maybe, you know, companies don't really pay close attention to is like security. To be really conscious of the risks involved with what you do take on board with your business. So there are a number of others, but those are two ones that jump to mind.
So talk to us about Growth Tech. What is it that you guys do?
Well, Growth Tech is a company that was conceptualized in 2016. So what we're doing is pretty much spreading connectivity in Jamaica, making connectivity like oxygen available to everyone everywhere. And with that, it segues nicely into this Tech Beach event, where they speak a lot about creating an ecosystem of technology to foster growth in Jamaica.
So talk to us about your company, Innovate 10X.
Okay, Innovate 10X is a passion of mine, where I'm actually looking at helping companies go along their digital transformation. So we know that there's a lot of technology out there. There's artificial intelligence, blockchain, big data. It's all happening now. It's now becoming mainstream. But 95% of companies in Jamaica doesn't understand anything about the technology, literally. They're still struggling with accounts payables, inventory management, basic CRM, much less to worry about, where new and emerging technology can help them along their journey.
The panel discussion earlier spoke to challenges within our tech industry here. What would you say is one of the bigger ones?
It's actually still a matter of a lack of funding. I think most banks or people with the capital don't understand how to fund technology. They're still looking like a physical asset, a motor vehicle, a real estate. A funding a tech business. That's a big problem, because tech business is usually built on an idea that you want to produce something that is software based. It's not something that's tangible, something that you can actually touch and feel, right? But we need more people to understand that, to be able to invest in it and feel comfortable that if you stick with the entrepreneur, if they're very determined, you're like to actually make a very good return. Similar like if you're investing in a manufacturing or a distribution company.
And that's it for Business Access TV's coverage of the Tech Beach Retreat Regional Roadshow Mixer right here at Regis in New Kingston. I've been your host, Amita Prasad-Webb, and thanks for tuning in. You're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
Started out selling out of the trunk of my car.
If everybody think the same way, everybody going in the same line.
Being an entrepreneur takes everything that you've got.
Weekends? What's weekends? We work on a weekend.
There are real opportunities everywhere you look.
But you have to have the passion.
If I do my part well, then everything is okay.
We believed in ourselves and our families believed in us.
Being convinced of this great opportunity, why we are all here doing what we're doing now.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters.
Call us at 876-291-6233 or 876-276-4225. Email sales@batvja.com.
I am Grant Stevenson, Chief Executive Officer of Kingston Wharves Limited, and you're watching Business Access TV, serious about business. As we enter sacred time on the calendar, 40 days of Lent, a time when we give up something for the good of ourselves, let us join hearts together over the next few days and give up hostility towards each other, crime and violence, and be a peaceful nation. We can do it if we really try. Hello and welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. On the show today, Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation speaks to orderly development in the city. And we talk matters of the heart in our health feature. Stay with us.
The ECJ will be renewing all voter ID cards. Visit any EOJ constituency office or voter ID card renewal center if your card has an issue date of 2015 or before. Cards with issue dates 2016 or later will automatically be reprinted. The ECJ will notify cardholders when cards are ready. Current ID cards will be valid until December 2020. For more information, contact the ECJ.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, February 27. The Jamaican government has expanded its travel ban imposed to prevent any local introduction or spread of the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, to now include Italy, South Korea, Singapore, and Iran. These are the countries reporting the highest number of COVID-19 cases outside of mainland China, for which the Health Ministry had previously announced a travel ban on January 31.
The majority of cases in those countries, or these countries, which I'll name, have been due to in-country transmission. So unlike in the past, when countries had imported cases, what is happening now is that within countries, cases are being transmitted or spreading internally, which makes these countries a higher risk than previously when the cases were isolated.
The health minister provided that update in a press briefing this morning. He reported that of 141 persons who have arrived from China within the 14-day incubation period, 5 are in government quarantine, another 5 are quarantined at home, while 5 are in isolation. The health minister has, meanwhile, explained why port health officials refused docking clearance for the MSC Meraviglia cruise ship at the Ocherius port on Tuesday.
I think it should be known that the vessel, having had a requirement under the quarantine laws to report any health-related threat that is on board prior to landing, did not make such a report. In fact, they filed a report which did not give any indication that that was the case. When the health team actually boarded the vessel, they discovered that there was an individual in isolation on the vessel. That, in effect, is a breach of the protocol. And so the health team, having learned of the situation after they boarded, requested additional particulars, the clinical history, etc. Vessel came in at 8:30. My understanding it should have left at 4. We never got information hours after requesting it. A decision was taken that given all of those factors, the late notification, the breach of protocol, the fact that that person was isolated, it was in the best interest of our country and our people to ask the vessel to continue on to its next port.
In other health news, an additional 30 Cuban medical professionals are set to arrive in Jamaica today to further bolster government's delivery of quality healthcare services. They will join the 276 Cuban medical professionals currently serving the local public health sector. This follows Tuesday's signing for the renewal of a technical cooperation agreement between Jamaica and Cuba for another 3 years. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton points out that the agreement follows a third bilateral agreement of technical cooperation, which was signed between both governments in 2015.
Without this partnership, Jamaica and Jamaica's healthcare system would be weaker. The reality is that the Cuban medical personnel who have come here have played a very critical role in terms of supporting our healthcare system at all levels, but primarily at the level of our hospitals.
Ambassador of Cuba to Jamaica, Her Excellency Inez Force Fernandez, says it marks a significant milestone in both countries' ongoing collaboration.
The agreement we signed this morning gives response to the demanding times we are living today and will contribute to face the current complex challenges in the health sectors.
Meanwhile, the Marella Discovery 2 cruise ship made its second call to Port Royal on Monday, carrying 1,800 visitors to Kingston. This is the cruise ship's second arrival to the recently renovated Fort Charles, Port Royal's first fort. The 500-year-old heritage site was recently refurbished by the Port Authority of Jamaica and other government agencies. Fort Charles was revitalized with additional features, including officers' quarters, a new ticket booth, and a souvenir and merchandise shop. There's also a new Giddy House exhibit building adjacent to the original Giddy House that was built in 1888. Other attractions to be introduced include a Port Royal Museum, live archaeological dig, a pirate wharf, and the Sunken City Museum. The restoration of Fort Charles is part of the Port Royal Development Plan, which aims to transform the historic town into a thriving center for tourism. The Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, is reporting estimated economic growth of 0.1% for the October to December quarter of 2019. Director General Dr. Wayne Henry says this represents 20 consecutive growth quarters for the economy. He was speaking at the PIOJ's quarterly press briefing on Tuesday.
The outturn during the quarter reflected the combined impact of 1. Increased external demand from Jamaica's main trading partners, which supported increased exports of some goods and services. 2. Increased hotel room capacity and air seat capacity, which facilitated growth in stopover visitor arrivals.
Other factors outlined by Dr. Henry include favorable weather conditions, which facilitated better outputs for some domestic crop groups, as well as increased use of financial services. PIOJ's Director General says greater growth was hindered by the winding down of major construction projects, the slow rollout of new strategic investment projects, and plant downtime due to aged equipment in several industries. Overall, he says real gross domestic product, GDP, for the 2019 calendar year is estimated to have grown by 0.9%, representing consecutive growth for 7 years. 9 high schools from across the island have now been incorporated into the new Technical and Vocational Education and Training TVET program.
So right now we have 9 high schools which are a part of our new TVET program. 8 of them technical high schools and 1 a traditional high schools, because we want to prepare our youngsters for the future.
The Education State Minister was speaking recently at a professional development symposium put on by the Heart Trust National Service Training Agency. And finally, the Ministry of Education is reporting that the overall administration of the Primary Exit Profiles PEP ability test for this year went smoothly with no major issues. Reports from across the ministry's 6 regions indicate that the exam on Tuesday began on time, all scripts were in place, and the centers were observed to be properly arranged and students were settled. Just over 39,000 students are registered to sit the exams this year. The second component, the Grade 6 performance tasks, will take place on Thursday, March 19 and Friday, March 20. The curriculum-based tests are set for Thursday, April 23 and Friday, April 24, 2020. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
Protect yourself from the flu virus. Visit your nearest health center or doctor to get the flu vaccine. Cover your mouth and nose when coughing and sneezing. Wash your hands regularly with soap and water or by using an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Avoid the spread of germs by not touching your eyes, mouth, or nose. And be sure to regularly disinfect surfaces and objects that are used often. Remember, your health is your responsibility.
The Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation speaks to checks and balances of orderly development in the city. The conversation is prompted by recent expansions in the capital's infrastructure development, such as housing and commercial buildings and roadworks.
Hello and welcome to OPM Connect, the program that gives you an insight into government's plans, policies, and programs. I'm Naomi Francis. You know, there are several really good and meaningful projects taking place across the length and breadth of Jamaica. Today, we move away a little bit from central government and focus on what's happening at a local government level, and specifically in the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation. The development of downtown Kingston is very, very important to so many people living in the capital. What's really happening? Well, we have three very important persons joining us to tell us a little bit more about that. We have His Worship the Mayor of Kingston and St. Andrew, Senator Councillor Delroy Williams. Welcome, Mayor. All right, we also have Ms. Monique Grant. She is the Urban Planning Officer at the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, the KSAMC, and none other than the Town Clerk himself, Mr. Robert Hill. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us here on OPM Connect.
Hi, Naomi. Good afternoon.
Well, let me start off with the first question, because I see this a lot, especially on social media, and this is really a program streamed on social media. So let's start at the point where I see a lot of people expressing concerns about the rapid pace of development taking place across Kingston. You know, I saw a tweet, especially from the president of the JMEA, Mr. Pandoe, asking, is there really a balance and check system going on? Because all these rises are going up so fast. So Mayor, I ask you the question. What's happening really in terms of the development of downtown Kingston? Are there checks and balances?
Well, firstly, there is a development order which Monique could speak to more definitively. And so all the development taking place across the municipality really fall within the development order, the provisional development order. Yes, there are checks and balances. There are many, in going through the approval process for an approval for a development, there are many checks and balances. There are many things that go into making a decision, a final decision. The building committee, for example, is comprised of councillors, of the technical expertise at the municipality, members of NEPA, members of the private citizens who are in the industry itself. So it's not just that you sit in a building committee meeting and it just consists of councillors and KCC members of staff. The committee is broad, which means that all the considerations go into making a decision, but according to the law. So we are guided by the law. And as a municipality, we can't act outside of the law. There's the issue of the main issue for us at stake, and I believe it's an ongoing issue, and we have to just continue to discuss it and see if we can reach a position where there is clarity on the matter, but at the same time where we take all the interests into consideration. The issue of privacy, that I believe is a major issue, not the only issue, but the major issue surrounding the high-rise developments.
Let me hear from the town clerk a little bit. How many of these developments are taking place across the Kingston St. Andrew area, if you have a hold on that as yet?
Well, there's quite a number. We have a mixture of residential, which is broken down into single and multifamily developments. Mostly, it would be in the Kingston 6, 7, and 8 area, and they're also in Kingston 8 and 10. And there are other considerations for developments, certainly in the downtown area, where this is strictly commercial, light manufacturing or full-on manufacturing. So there's I don't have an exact number with me, but we do consider these applications twice per month. There are 2 building meetings at council per month, which takes in, based on recommendations from our officers as well as the external technical expertise, that we take in and consider the applications prior to approving them.
So there is a rigorous process
Absolutely,
involved.
Absolutely.
A part of the concern as well, I see, especially on social media, is do we involve agencies such as the NWA, the provision of water, solid waste, all those things?
Mayor would have alluded to it earlier, Naomi.
Yes.
In considering any application, particularly if they are abutting a main road or is a heavily dense area, the National Water Commission, National Environment and Planning Agency, the National Works Agency, the Town and Country Planning Authority, ourselves. It may also need mines and geology. It may also need another set of environmental eyes on it, right? So it all depends on the type of application before us and where we see fit to refer these applications to these external agencies. May I also indicated that at the sitting of these committee meetings, all of these agencies are represented, and also the Institute of Engineers, the Institute of Architects are also part of the committee, which also brings to bear their expertise and opinions in reviewing, evaluating, and granting approval or not to various applications that come before us.
You know, Mayor, Ms. Grant, Town Clerk, you know, the Prime Minister has said it, that especially when you have such a dense population in a small area, we have to rethink how we deal with development, and especially when we want the population that primarily works in the Kingston area to be near to work. How then do we rethink it? Because you have examples of other major cities with high rises and large developments taking place. Is it that process? I mean, where is Jamaica planning to go based on the vision that you've seen and heard too from the Prime Minister?
We're guided by the Provisional Development Order, which has the details in terms of zoning, in terms of setback, and this goes specifically to specific areas within Kingston and St. Andrews. So we in the Planning Department, we're guided by that document. So if someone submits an application for approval, we go through the document, we ensure that the setback and the density is done in regards to the specific zone. So not all areas are the same within Kingston and St. Andrews. So this guides us in detail. It's quite a large and detailed document as the zoning, building height, and setbacks, and a lot more.
In terms of where we go, it's really a very sensitive time. It's a really delicate time, because Kingston is growing, and more, and that's where all the data suggests that cities will more and more. 90% of the world's population will probably live in urban areas, centers, and so that's where we're going. Kingston is basically, that is what is happening to Kingston. More and more persons are coming into Kingston, and you have to find accommodation for them. But then you have to plan it in such a way that you still maintain the character of your city.
We have a very limited land space, so the only place to go is
limited. So up is definitely up. So is how far you go up. And remember now, how far you go up also is a function of the infrastructure. You know, the infrastructure to support that development in terms of your transport, your sewage, you know, water, road network, all of that is important. So so we are on top of it. It's not that it's just willy-nilly, and someone asked where the word willy-nilly came from. It's that development is just ad hoc, and things just happening all over without planning. No, as Monique has said, the development order, the provisional development order is here. It guides the municipality, and it guides basically all the municipalities across the country and all the agencies in terms of making the decisions. But what is real is that more and more persons are coming into your city space. They need accommodation. There are many more infrastructure required, hotels, because we are going to the direction of a destination city.
Yes.
So we have to also factor in accommodation and so forth. Well, the vision is really to create, ultimately you really want to enhance the quality of life within your municipality. So the quality of life for your residents, which means that your development must be broad-based. It must include recreational spaces. The Prime Minister has spoken very directly in terms of that, and we are following that lead. It's also encouraging business and fostering business opportunities within your urban centers. So our foremost policy is we want to develop a destination city. And in developing a destination city, then there are parts that you have to fit into the city. Your history must come alive within the city. Your historical spaces must be transformed for your residents and your visitors. Your people must be able to interact with your culture and interact with your history. For us, this very important space is where the War Theatre is. It's called Parade. Because there lies the War Theatre. That space has been a theatre space for over 300 years. So this, we believe, is a space that is rich in history, rich in culture. And this space has to be transformed into a mix of shops and restaurants and at least semi-pedestrianized space, so that our residents and visitors can come into the space peacefully, leisurely, and interact with the space and our history.
Congratulations to you and your team in terms of what you're doing to redevelop downtown Kingston and transform, really, our capital city. It really is commendable. I want to thank yourself, the town clerk, Ms. Grant, for coming and speaking about it. And certainly, I've invited you already again at any time to come so we can talk a lot more about what's happening and how we're going to solve some of the other issues and make Kingston that sustainable, livable city. Thank you so much for joining us for OPM Connect this week. Join us again next week for another interesting discussion.
Did you know? The consequence of not exercising, consuming excessive sugars, trans fat, sodium and alcohol, and smoking is that sooner or later you will become seriously ill? These are known causes of non-communicable diseases, known to damage critical organs in the body, rendering them dysfunctional, leading to premature death. Avoid the unhealthy habits, treat your body right, eat well, exercise, and live longer, more productive lives.
Up next, how diabetes can contribute to heart disease.
Diabetes is a common illness. Most of us may be aware of its various complications, such as diabetic retinopathy and neuropathy, diabetic kidney disease, and so on. But when it comes to deaths caused from diabetes, cardiovascular complications account for the majority. Diabetes is recognized as one of 4 major factors for developing cardiovascular disease, the others being hypertension, obesity, and cigarette smoking.
About 68% of persons over the age of 65, and this is data now from the American Heart Association, 65% of persons over the age of 65 who have diabetes will die from heart disease, and about another 16% will die of stroke.
Before we take a look at how to manage or even prevent cardiovascular complications of diabetes, let us look at how persons come to develop the disease.
In a nutshell, what generally happens is that diabetic persons have a more rapid rate at which fat and cholesterol is deposited in the arterial system. So we all have that. It's considered part of the process of aging. Fat and cholesterol is being laid down in our arteries. However, diabetic persons tend to have that happen at a more rapid rate. Okay? And as a result of that, what tends to happen is that diabetic persons will progress to a point where they have compromised vessels. So in other words, the lumen, the diameter of the vessel, is narrowed, the flow of blood is limited.
And as the heart muscles become starved of blood, various acids accumulate and persons will tend to experience what is called angina, or a type of chest pain.
You may get complete blockage of the vessel, which may now result in what is called a heart attack.
Heart tissues are not meant to function in an environment where the blood sugar level is elevated. And so, another incidence of diabetic cardiovascular complication results where high blood sugar levels in persons who are diabetic becomes directly toxic to heart cells. This impairs the ability of blood vessels to open normally under conditions of stress, such as exercise, and also causes inflammation and impaired clotting of the blood.
So if they're chronically exposed to those levels of elevated blood sugars, then there are biochemical consequences. There's weakness of the heart muscle, and patients, many of them, go on to developing heart failure and so on.
The diagnosis of cardiovascular complications is more difficult in diabetics, where the symptoms appear unclear or may be different from the non-diabetic patient. Take, for example, a non-diabetic person with, say, coronary heart disease.
Generally, they will say, well, look, doc, I felt pressing pain to the center of my chest. It's moving down my left arm. It comes on with activity. It stops when I stop engaging in whatever activity. It feels like a weight or like a pressure, like a squeezing sensation, and it's associated with other things like shortness of breath and so on. Diabetics, however, have a particular problem because they have damage to the nerves. and therefore they may not actually experience chest pain at all. If they do, it may not be the typical angina which we would normally expect a patient to describe. Okay, so oftentimes diabetic patients who are having cardiovascular disease will say that, doc, I just feel a little funny sensation in my chest, a little discomfort, I just feel short of breath, or I'm walking up the stairs, or I'm running after my grandkids and I find that I'm just out of breath.
The rest of the diagnostic process, however, is similar and may include an echocardiogram, ECG, blood works, or various stress tests accessible at public health facilities and at the Heart Foundation of Jamaica. Generally, diabetic patients will have elevated blood sugars in their urine, which, if identified, serves as a red flag and need for more specific testing. A urinalysis or urine dipstick test is generally done as part of school medicals, oftentimes as a screening test for diabetes. As with every illness, early detection and prevention is key to having good health.
It would be good every year for every person to be checked. If you're diabetic, you would have been told how often you need to check your blood sugar by your health professional. But if you're just doing checks and you're healthy otherwise, then at least once a year to check your cholesterol, your sugar, your blood pressure, do your ECG to see if there is any abnormality in the heart.
The treatment of cardiovascular disease in diabetic patients is more holistic, involving lifestyle changes to include diet, exercise, and maintaining a healthy weight.
In a nutshell, we advocate for, eating primarily fruits and vegetables, things like whole grains and nuts, limiting one's intake of fast foods, foods with high fat content, high cholesterol, salt, and so on, and portion size management as well.
More unprocessed foods, less of the very refined high sugar foods. So there are those foods that are obviously very high in sugar. So the typical recommendation, if you look at a plate, half of the plate should be more plant-based foods, leafy vegetables, and some fruit.
In general, 150 minutes minimum per week of moderate exercise such as swimming, brisk walking, jogging, or cycling is recommended. Besides the lifestyle changes, clinical treatment through prescription drugs and surgical procedures is an important element in caring for persons with cardiovascular complications of diabetes.
We have medications to address symptoms, we have medications to prolong life, and that forms an important part of the approach. There are a variety of procedures which diabetic patients and other non-diabetic patients may qualify for, or it may be necessary to pursue. So we speak of things like stenting, for example, coronary artery bypass grafting, which is, of course, open heart surgery, major surgery. Diabetic patients we have a lower threshold for referring diabetics for that kind of procedure just because of the severity of their disease.
Medications developed primarily for use by diabetic patients have been shown to have significant cardiovascular benefits as they reduce the risk of death and complications related to cardiovascular disease in diabetic patients. But with most of them still under patent, access is quite costly. Your best treatment option is to adopt healthy lifestyle practices that make you less prone to developing diabetes or cardiovascular disease.
This is where our journey ends, but only for today. Do join us again tomorrow when we'll bring you another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website at jis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via tweet at JIS News. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
Hey guys, I'm Candy, and welcome to Chill Spot, Jamaica's ultimate leisure show. This season promises to reveal some of the hidden treasures of the lifestyle industry by taking you to the chill spots of some of Jamaica's most brilliant business minds, giving you a glimpse into how they choose to unwind and just feel a vibe. You won't want to miss what happens next. Stay tuned.
You're watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Business Access. Use access.
Business Access TV.
Serious.
Serious.
Serious about business.
Explore, engage, elevate. The Jamaica Stock Exchange is showcasing its online program here at its eCampus Open House and Corporate Mingle. Hi, I'm Javon Keys, and Business Access TV is here to bring you all the happenings. Stay tuned. The first segment of our program is the Open House, where the Jamaica Stock Exchange will be introducing its postgraduate certification programs offered through its eCampus. Mrs. Marlene Street Forrest will bring greetings.
I want to thank you for coming this evening to the JCE Campus's Open House. And, you know, when I was thinking about what I would say to you this evening, I said, you know, the fact that you come and, you know, it's immediately after August, which is the break, and I know you have a lot to do at the office, and also with the back to school. I am very pleased to see you all. You know, you have given us this evening pleasure in coming here. The intention this evening is to introduce to you the JC's exciting eCampus and the programs that we currently offer. And I'm smiling because I remember in 2012, at our launch, we said, and the program that we currently offer. And I am just excited about the fact that now we can say the programs, right, Dr. Lawrence, that we currently offer. And we feel that it is appropriate to share with you not only the number of programs we offer, but the level of certification that bolster our offerings. Because it is one thing to offer programs upon programs, but how does it enhance what you do? What can you do after you say, I've completed that program? There must be something to bolster it. And these include the accreditation by the University Council of Jamaica of our flagship program, the Postgraduate Diploma in Financial Services Management, our Continuing Professional Development Certification, which provides the stamp of approval from the CPD Certification Services in London that all our programs conform to continuing professional development principles, and also the approval from the Financial Services Commission of our online securities courses. The eCampus objectives are designed to match the objectives of the participants to our courses, which are to increase in the knowledge base of persons within the financial industry and the general marketplace. So we want to ensure that you know that while we operate within the financial industry, financial matters affect all companies. Am I correct, Dr. Lawrence? All companies. So it is a broad scope we are talking about. The ability also to practically utilize the training at the workplace and in the participants' daily life, and see to convert the training into a tangible currency. That is upward mobility in the organization. As the best performing exchange in the world, and you know, I would have to say that, right? For 2015, 2018, and we are second at this point to date in terms of what Bloomberg has said. But 2 weeks ago, we were number one. So we are watching this to see what will happen. And I want you to watch it with me so that we know where we are for the end of the year. But it is no secret that we have a very clear vision on what the standard in training in the financial services sector and its employees should be. So you would be coming to the right place. We understand that daily the rules of the game changes in the financial sector, as well as other sectors of commerce. And the risk in the market are greater now due to new and sophisticated products. You know, we're looking at bitcoins, and we are looking at other asset class, we would say. And, you know, as a result of that, the Jamaica Stock Exchange will be there to guide the market through these various sophisticated products. So, you know, there can be only one place to look. Our programs take these variables of this sophistication and all of that global changes in mind. And so there are several hundred persons working in the financial sector that will benefit from getting on board. We're hoping today to shed more light on the programs we offer, the matter of admission, the persons are here, or flexible payment plan, and the importance of the campus in general, and why we wish to engage you in having the campus as central to your thought. Whether as an individual or as a company or as HR, the campus must be central to your thoughts. Again, welcome.
On behalf of the JC Group and the eCampus, I would like to extend to you all a warm welcome and thanks for taking your time to be a part of this very informative event. I'm very pleased to be a part of the technical group which handles all technical matters relating to the eCampus. Our main objectives and goals and responsibilities are to provide training for our faculty members and our staff, as well as the eCampus administrative unit and our other stakeholders such as our students and the general public at large. I will be demoing our relevant technologies that we use in our day-to-day operations, as well as I'll be, giving you some brief system requirements of the systems that we use. Our website is based on Moodle, which is basically the benchmark for all universities and tertiary institutions worldwide. Basically, every tertiary institution uses Moodle to develop their website in order to provide that hub, that platform, that community, which all our facilitators, our participants, technical administrators, and the administrative staff of the eCampus can interact.
eCampus was designed to engage the learner. I will briefly introduce you to some of its features and activities, beginning with the homepage. There is always something happening on eCampus and in the financial world, and eCampus Happenings is where you get the latest headlines. To your right, you will see a message notification box that shows messages sent to you from other students, your teachers, or administration. You will also notice a calendar that shows events for the current month. We'll talk more about calendar later. Let's move into one of my courses. To your left and to your right, you will notice several boxes that show you the latest news, all the course activities, upcoming course events, and others. You will notice that the course has an introduction. This section gives you all the information you need to know on the course. This section will also be updated to provide you with the latest information of most importance to the course material. You will also notice that the course has a general chat room and a general forum, two great ways of communicating with your peers. The forum lets you view topics created by teachers and other students. You can also create your own topics and comment on open ones. This is a great way to post general questions to your class members. The chat room allows you to have live chat sessions with class members who are currently online. Your teacher may sometimes use this as an open session to answer general queries. Let's now look at assignments. Assignments are given with clear instructions and may sometimes require you to submit a file. A file can be in PDF, Word, Excel. It all depends on what the teacher instructs you to do. and for the real deal, the course content. Content is delivered in video and audio. It lets you pause, skip, go back, and continue from wherever you left off the last time. The beauty about this experience is, if you didn't get the lecture the first time around, you can always go back and watch it again for as long as it's available. And let's look at the quiz. You get instant feedback as you answer each question, and your grade is known immediately at the end of each quiz. Didn't do so well? Don't worry. You get 3 attempts, but keep this in mind. The final grade will be the average of all 3 attempts. This is an online course, but you still get to see and talk with your lecturer. Each course has at least one web meeting session with your lecturer. In this session, the lecturer can share his screen with you as you work through a problem. He may also give you the floor so that you may be seen as you speak to the rest of the class. This is all for now. Thank you and enjoy your eCampus learning experience.
The next video I'll be presenting is our web platform. We use a technology called Zoom webinars. I'm sure most of us might have been previously exposed or we have heard of Zoom before. It is a very interactive, collaborative tool that's very easy to use.
Expand your reach and build relevance with your target audience using Zoom video webinars. Zoom's flexible registration controls allow you to gather valuable information. Designate your interactive video panelists that can present and screen share with up to 10,000 attendees and to an unlimited audience with Facebook Live or YouTube streaming. The host can promote any viewer to an interactive panelist at any time. Live Q&A and chat allow you and your panelists to answer attendee questions on the fly. Registration, Q&A, and polling are all linked to detailed reporting. Zoom's powerful integrations help you get more out of your webinars. Monetize your content with our PayPal integration and simplify follow-up with our CRM integrations. Let your webinar live on after the live event by enabling our on-demand feature, allowing you to capture new registrants long after the webinar's end. Webinars are perfect for town hall meetings, large-scale trainings, product announcements, marketing lead generation, and more. Reach a broader audience and grow your impact with Zoom video webinars.
Great design is not only how things look, but also how well they work. The GLC, more than meets the eye.
Hi, this is Angeli Martin Spencer, Principal and Interior Decorator of ASH, Angeli Spencer Home, and you're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
I never thought I'd hear the day when blackberries are archaic. It just goes to show that we have to keep up with the times, you know, and the product that the JSC eCampus has, this online professional development platform, is keeping up with the times. People want what they want, when they want it on time, and they want it delivered in a convenient manner. Gone are the days when you're going to be expecting people to come after you have completed or you're in your workspace to come to a 2-year, you know, you don't have the time, and no workplace can manage anything like that. So I'm here to give you an overview of what I term a marquee product of the eCampus. The product I want to give you an overview of, and I won't be very long, is called a Postgraduate Diploma in Financial Services Management. Long acronym there. The postgraduate diploma in financial services management is an occupational graduate program. It is higher than a bachelor's degree and everything else, associates, so on. It is a graduate program. So it is a postgraduate qualification, and it is an occupational qualification. You'll hear a little bit more in a couple of slides what I mean, or the distinction between occupational versus academic. It offers industry participants opportunities for critical exploration of the regulatory framework, governance issues, financial products, and services in an academic climate of high intellectual rigor. And a part of why this program was developed was because of a recognition that someone may come to the financial sector with an MBA or a bachelor's degree from a recognized institution abroad. But the actual workings, the mechanism of how the financial sector works locally is not treated. And so there was a need for persons to get up to speed to be able to deliver products and services in a much more efficient way. And hence the concept here. But I must also say before I move to the next slide that the concept was a visionary one from Mrs. Merlin Street Forest. I mean, I'm sure she's accustomed to that term being associated with her name now. Matter of fact, you can probably say Merlin Visionary Forest. Because it was out of her idea, really, that this need was being filled. It is 15 months in length. And this, by the way, compares very well with similar occupational postgraduate degrees in the world. Now, what is a professional degree? Remember I said I'd tell you what the distinction between a professional and an academic degree. And I put it in bold there, partly. Well, first of all, let's go from the first bullet. It helps students to prepare for careers in their specific fields. So you have professional degrees in law, in pharmacy, in medicine, education. The length of the programs can vary, but span anywhere from 1 to 5 years. So 15 months is pretty optimal, as you can see. But important there, professional degrees are designed to directly prepare students for a particular career, hence the term professional or occupational degree. All right? And I just gave a list of a couple of them that exist. And part of the reason why I use Juris Doctor and Doctor of Medicine is because all of a sudden when you hear about doctorates in these areas, you see prestige. So I'm making you understand that the postgraduate diploma in financial services management has pedigree. Now, what is an academic degree? An academic degree, the emphasis typically is about research. And I like to break it down for my students when they first enter in a class that I teach about research. Research is really about learning first. And it is that you are the lead learner in the field. And you're creating new knowledge. It's not about working with what you have. It's about creating new knowledge. And typically it's very heady and academic and published in journals and so on. So there's a clear distinction between an occupational or professional degree as opposed to an academic degree. So I looked at 5 reputable institutions in the Commonwealth. I chose the Commonwealth. The United States of America tends to have all kind of variants, but I wanted a system that we could compare to ours. So I looked at the UK and Canada, and I'm sure you recognize some of these institutions here. There's the Seneca College of Applied Arts and Technology in Canada, Oxford University, the #1 university in the world, bar none, University of Salford, Manchester, London School of Business and Finance, and the famous London School of Economics, and Douglas College. Douglas College is Canada, Seneca College, Canada, rest obviously in the UK. They have those products there. And you can see the terms are very, very similar to the one that we have. The overall offerings are also very similar, okay? And look at the costing. You can't beat what we sell here. The role and function of the Jamaica Stock Exchange is very similar to the role and function of the UCJ, University Council of Jamaica. What both institutions have in common is that they tell potential stakeholders that you can trust this organization. So you are listed on the stock exchange, these people can be trusted. they won't be fly by night and take your money and disappear. And you know what I mean. The UCJ is telling us the same thing. In essentially, in an educational organization, you don't want to go and invest your time or your money in a fly-by-night organization. And there's much more to it. But I'm saying to you, what UCJ says, you can trust this product. Now, it's important to note that whereas for the diploma, the postgraduate diploma, you need to do 14 courses, you may take any one course by itself. So you can decide, oh, you know, I want to know a little bit more about risk management. There's a course for that. I want to know about corporate governance. There's a course. So say I want to just do a course by itself, you can do that, as opposed to taking on all 14. There's no comparable program available at any of these institutions to compare with the $250,000 or so that it is being offered for here in Jamaica at the eCampus. Now, I did the benchmarking of the product itself, but I want to put also the context of the eCampus in this one slide. This is the London Stock Exchange, and I'm sure Mrs. Forrest knows, and those of us that have had the opportunity to take a look at the landscape, that London Stock Exchange has what they call an academy. They do not leave professional development of the financial sector up to chance. And what they use is the term bespoke. They are prepared to create bespoke professional development training opportunities for anybody, anywhere in the world. So if you want a course in Jamaica, they can make it for you, but we don't want you to do that. That is our site, and you can see down the bottom there, new and exciting upcoming workshops. That's the bespoke side of the eCampus. Entry requirements are listed here. And by the way, the third requirement there, speaking about material postgraduate diploma applicants. In other words, we're looking at industry experience. This isn't a willy-nilly thing. It is a part of how educational institutions have evolved, a part of how we now matriculate persons. Think of somebody who is a virtuoso at the guitar. They have never read a note in their life, but they can play it better than, drop something they can do. We say, okay, we won't invalidate that you can't read notes. Come and handle whatever action or activity in terms of playing a song or playing what you have done. And we can evaluate that and determine for what amount of credits or how that can be used to matriculate you into the system. So you may have entered the financial sector without necessarily, many people have soared to the top without beginning initially with any formal training. So we're not invalidating that. That's a reality. That's the way of the world. That's how every institution now operates. So that's what that material applicants pertains to. So we say we will take industry experience as well as part of what can be used to matriculate you into the program. But first degree, JC Securities course, or any other FSC approved first level course, at least 3 years relevant experience within the financial services sector or a related field. So what we're saying is that this program is for you. Wherever you sit, this program is for you. If you're serious about advancement in your career. I don't know how many have recognized this gentleman. He was the former head of Heart NTA. And now that's a national body, and now he's the head of the Caribbean Examinations Council, CSEC. So he has moved from head of a national organization to now the head of a regional organization. He has a PhD in industrial engineering. He said this. He came and did the program. And at the graduating ceremony, he described it as by far one of my most consequential studies when he came and did the program here. And as a part of what this program is about, ultimately the persons that leave are the brand ambassadors. And he was so pleased that he was prepared to say this about not comparing his industrial engineering degree from University in Florida and the list of other qualifications he had. He felt that this was one of his most, because it helped him, according to him, when we spoke to him, to function in his role as the CEO of his organization. Because he said he would sit down sometimes in meetings prior to this and hear about them talking about the budget, and he couldn't understand what was going on. But subsequent to the program, he was able now to plot the institution's financial development, which is quite a big deal for us. So we're very proud of him, one of our graduates, Dr. Wayne Wesley. So I call it a marquee product. As a scientist, I try not to use words idly. I'm very serious about it.
When we return, you'll hear from our guest speaker. Who is it? You'll find out when we come back. Stay with us.
Cash flow and budgeting analysis. A business can be profitable and still run into trouble due to cash flow issues. We can forecast and evaluate your company's financial condition, estimate financing requirements, and track cash flow sources and uses. For more information and to discuss your requirements with one of our experts, please contact us today. Email info@dodgen.global. Website https://dodgen.global.
I started out selling out of the trunk of my car.
If everybody think the same way, everybody going in the same line.
Being an entrepreneur takes everything that you've got.
Weekends? What's weekends? We work on a weekend.
There are real opportunities everywhere you look.
But you have to have the passion.
If I do my part well, then everything is okay.
We believed in ourselves and our families believed in us.
Being convinced of this great opportunity, why we are all here doing what we're doing now.
Life, your weekly dose of information on nutrition, wellness, and fitness. Discover ways to nurture your mind, body, and spirit.
I'm Adam Stewart. This is Business Access TV, serious about business.
Tonight's speaker, she said I shouldn't call her a guest speaker. So tonight's speaker is a friend of the eCampus. Not only is she known for her 25 plus years experience in the field of risk and compliance, she is also a known attorney at law, a senior manager, and company secretary at KPMG. She is known for her down-to-earth, bubbly, and refreshing personality. However, tonight, she's not here in her capacity as senior manager. She is here to speak to us about the postgraduate certificate in Chartered Secretary and the ICAC course that the eCampus offers. Our speaker is the head of the Jamaica branch of the ICSA and will be sharing with us the benefits of enrolling in a course such as this. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mrs. Elizabeth Henry Pottinger.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to be here because I believe that the ICSA qualification is one of the ones that the JSE campus has snagged, and I am sure that at the end of this presentation this evening, many persons will be signing up to become qualified as a chartered secretary. This qualification is over 100 years old. It's headquartered in England, and many Jamaican persons used to travel all the way to England or self-study to learn to be a qualified company secretary. But now the ICSA is being brought right here on your eCampus, right at your fingertips, as I heard someone said earlier this evening. I have my colleague Jean Douglas, who is a chartered secretary as well, and she has been practicing a few years before me, and she knows the in and outs of being a chartered secretary. So why qualify with the ICSA? I like to say that it brings you right into the boardroom and it brings you to the seat of decision making. And this is where the skills are mainly practiced, but it is multidisciplinary. You can be an accountant, you can be a company secretary, you can do risk management. Our qualification will help you to build the skills that will equip you for a career in a variety of sectors and organizations. So we offer a standalone qualifications which cover financial services, and this includes investments and fund management, legal and regulatory requirements, which is my focus, understanding of corporate strategy and structures, the skill to support and advise and enable directors and the board to make the right decisions. So you see that it places you right at the seat of decision making. Here we go. So why is this qualification? Why is this, and what are some of the benefits? You get a chartered status, which is the benchmark for company secretaries and governance professionals. It shows you have the knowledge, the skills and experience to take on a job with significant and wide-ranging responsibilities. It gives you access to thought leadership, research, and our highly respected guidance notes. You get free access to our technical helpline, and the qualification is transferable across major countries. So if you're a chartered secretary in Jamaica, you move to England or Australia or Canada, you can use the same qualifications at the same level. You do not lose your ranking. And the membership is transferable to any ICSA division as long as you're a resident in that division. So this is the stepping stone for your qualification. And pay attention to this particular slide, because different persons will fit in at different steps. You have the foundation, the part 1, and the part 2 qualifications. So the foundation program entry, if you hold a degree or a higher national diploma in either law, accounting, business studies, or business management, then you'll be required to sit and pass the foundation level, which is what we just showed you. The foundation level is the one in red, down the bottom there. So part 1 entry, if you hold any of the following qualifications, you may be eligible to start at part 1. So the HND in law or accounting, HND or degree in business studies or business management, ICSA Level 5 Diploma in Offshore Finance and Admin, Level 5 Diploma in Finance and Administration, or an unrelated degree, and have 5 years or more experience in a company secretarial or governance professional role. So the related degree, entry law. These are law graduates holding an approved UK degree in law, and you'll start at part 1 and will be eligible for exemption from the company law module. So if I go back to that presentation, there's a company law. If you have a law degree, you will be exempt from writing the company law section of part 1, but you would skip the foundation level. So if you have a related degree entry in finance, and the graduates holding an approved UK degree in finance will start at part 1 and will be eligible for exemption from the interpretation of financial accounting module. If you have an MBA entry, they will have to review what your MBA was in and give you the relevant exemptions that are applicable. So for the professional entry, law, lawyers with fewer than 5 years professional experience will start at part 1 and will be eligible for an exemption from the company law module. They may, subject to previous knowledge, qualification, and experience, also be eligible for an exemption from the development of strategy mode. You must be a member of the bar, and the Jamaican bar is acceptable to the ICSA qualification. Professional entry in accounting. Accountants with fewer than 5 years professional experience will start at part 1 and will be eligible for an exemption from the interpretation of financial accounting information module. They may, subject to previous knowledge, qualification, or experience, also be eligible for an exemption in the development of strategy mode. The fees, I think it's comparable to what we have heard earlier. The fees, the program says that you have a registration fee of £77. There's a subscription of £135. To be exempted, though, you have to pay £157 per module. And the exam fee is also £157 per module. And there's a study text per module. And note that the annual subscription fee is payable to maintain your student membership. So it means that in order to even do those 2 papers, the case study and the other paper, you must register as a student of the Institute of Chartered Secretary. The ways to study: tuition provider, which the eCampus is a registered tuition provider, and you will be taken through your paces through the through this eCampus. I don't want to say too much about the other study. You can self-study as well, but I have found that most people who self-study, they have a great difficulty in passing the exam. So I would encourage you to sign up with the eCampus and take advantage of all of the help that you can get. This is a worthwhile qualification, I can tell you. And we have some postgraduate partners, and I think the eCampus, I'm not sure that you're a postgraduate partner as yet, but you are a provider of the services. We have a link that you can find the full list of postgraduate courses and providers. And here are some facts I provided for you. Students must register with both the university and the ICSA prior to completing the course. And your fees vary from that of ICSA, the fees that you pay to the eCampus, and your membership fees are payable directly to the institute. So for the foundation program, which is the red box that we skipped over earlier, there are 4 papers here. Introduction to the business environment, Introduction to Finance and Accounting, and I can tell you that that is not really an introductory course. It is much deeper than an introductory course. Principles of Company Compliance and Administration and Introduction to Law. What does it involve? This is the foundation course, 15 to 200 learning hours that develop your understanding of the fundamentals, including Introduction to the Business Environment, Finance, Law, Compliance, and Admin. There's a 1 closed book 3-hour exam, and it covers all of the 4 modules. It leads to the foundation program certificate at level 4 and the right to continue to study for the qualifying program. So remember that there are 3 levels: the foundation, part 1 and part 2. Some people might be exempted from the foundation in its entirety. Some will be exempted from parts of part 1. Some will be exempted from all of part 1. and some will be exempted from part of the part 2, depending on your years of experience and your qualification.
The presentations may be over, but the event isn't quite done. Now let's go mingle.
Takes you behind the scenes of Jamaica's exploding creative industries to give you an insider's look at how creatives get the job done.
I'm really picky about how we treat our customers.
As creative people, we went a little bit over the top.
Each week, we interview innovators leading the charge in their industry. The chaos of creativity meets the stricture of structure on Business Access TV's Cameo. The Good Life, your weekly dose of information on nutrition, wellness, and fitness. Discover ways to nurture your mind, body, and spirit.
We go around Jamaica to visit a few of our most historical homes, each with their own little story. Our first stop, let's find out.
So, Mrs. Street Forest, the eCampus was launched in 2012 and it's a number of years now. What's the traction been like and what can we expect going forward from this regime introduced by the JSC?
We have been successful in having many students from all different industries partake of the programs that we have. The flagship program, which is the postgraduate diploma in financial services management, and all the other workshops, the attending workshops that talk about products and services within the financial sector and otherwise. Our uptick has been very good. You know, we have had the accreditation from UCJ. We also have approval from the Financial Services Commission and the CPD certification. And these bolster just what people get from the program, hands-on and also qualification to take them to the next level. And you know, we are looking at areas such as blockchain technology, digital asset management, digitization of your organization. These are some things that are critical to the success of organizations, and whatever comes within the environment that will lead to a better and more sustainable financial sector, we are there. So these are the programs that we continue to offer, and anything that evolves, we offer those as well.
So Dr. Benjamin, talk to us about the accreditation for the courses. Now many persons may be concerned, yes, they hear about the courses being offered, but generally a concern is there about accreditation. Are these courses accredited?
Yes, very good question. I want to first of all give us a sense of what accreditation means. In my earlier presentation, I pointed out that at the center of accreditation is a matter of public trust. And persons can think about it as you would think about being listed on the stock exchange, for example. What that means is that possible persons who want to invest know that the money is not going to disappear when they invest it. Academic accreditation is relatively similar. The University Council of Jamaica provides a platform and relevant processes and procedures that when a company or when an institution, when a program has been accredited by the University Council of Jamaica, what they're saying is that potential stakeholders, students who might come on board, financiers, matter of fact, you can't get a student loan if you're not going to be going in an accredited program. So you're saying to the person that, look, this is a program that is trustworthy. It is going to add value. It is the kind of program that will be recognized wherever in the world that you go. And so the JSE campus postgraduate diploma in financial services management is one such accredited program.
And for persons generally who may be interested in, let's say, pursuing this course, how well does it tie in, or how different is it from any other postgraduate degree, let's say, offered by any other institution? Why is it that I should choose doing this program over any other?
Absolutely. No, the program is offered by the Jamaica Stock Exchange eCampus. One of the key mandates of the eCampus from its parent body was to ensure that the providers of financial services in the landscape are well equipped to provide advice, to provide innovative services and products to the market. And in order for this to happen, they have to have a firm understanding of the governance structures of the banking industry, financial services industry, understand international best practices, of course, local best practices, and so on. And we ensure that all our graduates, when they leave the program, through having done the 14 courses, there are about 17 outcomes we have put there. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. But among them are the essentials to be able to advise and to develop and implement products, both financial products, as well as to provide advice to potential clients as to how to invest their own money. Yes.
So you're saying, of course, by all means, it's the best program to choose to do.
It is the best program because it is customized for the Jamaican context. And even if somebody has another degree, they would probably be studying a lot of theories, and it's not that we don't do theory work in the postgraduate diploma in financial services management, but that we are looking at it more as an occupational and an applied degree, so that it is more practical, it's more hands-on, it's more oriented towards being able to respond to the needs of the Jamaican local context.
So, Mr. Parks, the Jamaica Stock Exchange's eCampus has a wide range of courses offered. Tell us a bit about these programs.
Sure. Well, our flagship program is our postgraduate diploma in financial services management. We have a suite of other postgraduate certificates that are offered, including we have the compliance and information governance, we have the financial planning and wealth management, we have the brokerage operations, and many others that are specialized to the different sector. So because we cater to the financial services sector, we have persons who need more enhanced training for security brokers, banking, insurance, and any other entity that offers financial services in general. But we also offer a suite of workshops that are specifically designed to enhance the learning outcomes, to ensure that persons can become a more enhanced desk-ready operant. That is, we highlight gaps that might be there in the marketplace in terms of from an HR perspective, and also persons who are interested in upgrading their skill, because we are CPD certified, which is a continued professional development certification that comes through London, England, and we ensure that everything that we offer are at the highest level to enable all of our participants to be desk-ready operant, or to be a desk-ready operant, and bring an immediacy in terms of the know-how right to their desk for the benefit of the organizations as a whole.
Now, I know your focus is on strengthening persons in the financial sector, but are there any plans to also offer courses for persons who may not necessarily have a degree now, but may be interested in learning about becoming financially savvy and strengthening their wherewithal as it relates to financial education?
Well, sure. We offer the Jamaica Online Securities course, which is a minimum entry-level requirement for persons who require the basic knowledge. So we cater to varying personnel from that perspective. So persons who require to be licensed by the Financial Services Commission, the Jamaica Online Securities course that we offer is the minimum qualification that the FSC would assess in order to license you to give professional advice. We have persons who gravitate to that program, not necessarily because they want to give advice, but they want to have a better understanding in order to navigate the financial markets as a whole, to ensure that their whole financial health can be enhanced.
So you've basically gotten the best of both worlds, a platform where information is shared and another where it's discussed. I'm Javon Keys. I've been your host, and thanks to you for staying tuned to the Jamaica Stock Exchange's e-campus, open house, and corporate mingle. And thanks to the Jamaica Stock Exchange for having such an event where they're showcasing the offerings of their e-campus. Thanks for staying with us. Pleasant viewing.
I do have a dream, and I know you have a dream, that we can make Jamaica the place of choice for you to choose to live, to work, to do business.
We are going for the Jamaica we want. Making steady progress to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals in our National Development Plan, Vision 2030 Jamaica. We have teamed up with valued partners, working through strong institutions to reduce inequalities in our society. We commit to being responsible in our production and consumption, ensuring we build sustainable communities in harmony with nature. Jamaica is making significant strides in providing quality, lifelong education for all, enabling our people to be engaged in decent work to drive economic growth, equipping men and women with the skills to build resilient infrastructure, promote sustainable industry, foster innovation, and utilize new technologies. Urgent action is being taken to manage natural resources responsibly, protecting clean water sources, ensuring access to water and sanitation for all, diversifying to alternative energy sources, conserving our environment and sustaining life below water and on land. Jamaica is making moves to ensure healthy lifestyles for the well-being of our people. We're promoting sustainable agriculture to achieve food security, improve nutrition, and end extreme hunger, putting in the work to end poverty in all its forms. We're on track in achieving our Sustainable Development Goals through realizing our Vision 2030 Jamaica. We will leave no one behind.
And I'm chilling right now, cause we're winning right now.
I started out selling out of the trunk of my car.
If everybody think the same way, everybody going in the same line.
Being an entrepreneur takes everything that you've got. Weekends? What's weekends? We work on a weekend.
There are real opportunities everywhere you look.
But you have to have the passion.
If I do my part well, then everything is a play.
We believed in ourselves and our families believed in us.
Being convinced of this great opportunity, why we are all here doing what we're doing now.
Creating change, building a future, caring hands, giving back, touching hearts, and shaping lives. Impacting our world for the better.
have grown from 20 million US to now having 800 million US dollars.
Knowledge, skill, and professionalism. Those are my tools and my armor.
It's a big men don't cry, right? It's a big men don't cry, right?
We were being robbed some $531,000.
I've been angry to the point where I feel like I will get it, baby.
The Good Life, your weekly dose of information on nutrition, wellness, and fitness. Discover ways to nurture your mind, body, and spirit.
The Jamaica Stock Exchange wishes to help to develop the social sector. To that end, they have formed the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange, which is a safe, efficient, and transparent platform that aims to promote social projects that build Jamaica and will inure to the benefit of all persons living in the country.
The Jamaica Stock Exchange is a company that encourages and mobilizes capital for the main market. And that is the market that is not the social sector. Now, the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange is really geared towards the social sector to help to solve social problems in the field of health, education, about children, environment. Those are some of the things that we consider social problems. And so it is to mobilize the capital, allow persons who have a desire to invest in a social good, to invest in the social stock exchange. It is designed in two parts. In phase one, where we look at social investment, and phase two, where we look at social impact investment. Now, in phase one, really what we are saying is it is donation. An organization will have a social issue and design it into a project or a program and invite Jamaicans or persons within the diaspora or the entire world to fund this program. Now in phase two, you're going to get a return on investment which is not social. You will be getting shares, natural shares, as you would get if you invested in the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And what you'll get is a return on capital, which is possibly dividend or an appreciation in that share. The Jamaica Social Stock Exchange does more than ask for the funding of these programs, but goes beyond that in terms of monitoring, ensuring that these programs are meeting the targets and the reason for them to have asked for funding in the first place. When we look at this new sector, it is important because holistically, if you do not look on the social sector, you do not improve the other sectors. We want to encourage all businesses in Jamaica to have a corporate social responsibility because it is good for encouraging and the growth and development of businesses.
On Point is brought to you by Dargin Global.
A very good evening and welcome to another episode of On Point. I'm Patria K. Charles.
And I'm Dennis Strong.
And we've got a lot to talk about. First being what's happened this week that stands out in your mind, Dennis?
The thing for me is the whole coronavirus thing. I mean, we're talking later about the gas station fire, but the coronavirus and how it has taken over, because it's not just that it's now a pandemic, but it shows, for me, that global disruption in the economies can be caused by just a little flu, like symptom, you know? And it also shows, as someone said to me today, that we see the real power of China. Because a little flu happened in China, the whole place locked down, and there's no manufacturing for the world, no products for the world.
I don't know if I told you about there's a group of women who were talking about, you know, sourcing wedding dresses out of China, and the factory locked down.
Yeah.
So their wedding dresses can't come out of China, and they're in total panic. I mean, it's everything that we use from a pins and alcohol, literally, and it's a real concern. Here in Jamaica, we've had our hands full.
Even in the US.
Absolutely.
The stock market tumbled by 1,000 points on Tuesday.
We have had our hands full here in Jamaica, one with the quarantining of folks who would have been in China for a period of time. We're quarantining them for 2 weeks and then releasing them and going through all kinds of testing. We've had to put a lab here in Jamaica to be able to do the kind of testing. Well, update the lab here to be able to do that kind of testing. The cruise ship that would have come in St. Anne, we would have quarantined the entire ship, allowed them not to board at the port because someone on the ship was feeling ill. It's a lot to wrap your head around. And when you think about the safety of a nation and just how one person can actually affect us.
And the safety of an industry, because tourism will be hugely affected.
I know what we're doing now, but my mind goes to the fact that if someone's on a flight suspected of being infected with the coronavirus and we quarantine that one person for 14 days.
Quarantine the flight.
Wouldn't they have already infected the other 200 people on the plane?
You have to quarantine the flight.
I mean, these are real things to think about. The expense of Corona, the potential expense of Corona, the potential impact of Corona, because what's happening now is we're quarantining that one person who was in China and sending the other 200 people who may have been infected home to infect another 200.
What they have to do, just like the US did with the people who were on that ship, the ship that had the infection, they carried the people home and quarantined them for another 14 days. And that's just the sort of drastic action you have to take. Italy's on shutdown.
Wow.
You know,
wow.
Yeah. It's amazing. They say it's a global pandemic now. It's happening that way.
Boy, I'm afraid of a couple of things. I'm afraid of water and what water can do. I'm afraid of fire and what fire can do. And I recognize their powerlessness to some illnesses that are out there. And this is absolutely one of them. But we're not focusing on the corona for the show, folks. We are focusing on two very different things. One being the fire at the Heavens Fresco in Mandeville. And the second thing we're looking at, it is Reggae Month. Why not look at the business of reggae music?
But first, let's take a look back at some of the top business stories of the week.
At number 5, despite the massive blaze at its Mandeville service station last week, future energy source company Fesco says it still plans to go ahead with sales of shares to the public via an initial public offering IPO. However, Fesco says there will have to be a new date for the IPO. The company says NCB Capital Markets Limited remains its advisor. The IPO was initially planned for the fourth quarter of 2020. At number 4, sales of Dettol and Lysol products have surged as the spread of the coronavirus outbreak continues. The disinfectant is seen as providing protection against the spread of the disease, although its effectiveness has not yet been scientifically proven. In China, demand for Dettol branded hand gels is outstripping supply. At number 3, US and European markets slumped into correction territory on Thursday as selling pressure driven by the spread of the coronavirus produced the worst week for American stocks since the depths of the financial crisis in October 2008. The S&P 500 fell 2.4% in early trading in New York, bringing its decline since an intraday peak last week to more than 10%. The Stoxx 600 index of European shares dropped 4% to lodge a similar decline for the week. European markets are set for their worst week since the Eurozone sovereign debt crisis in 2011. Since its January peak, the FTSE Old World Index has shed about $5 trillion in value. At number 2, Jamaican authorities blocked a cruise ship carrying 4,500 passengers and more than 1,600 crew members from calling at Ocheria St. Anne earlier this week. According to the Health Ministry, the ship was denied docking after port health officials discovered that a crew member was in isolation on board. The health authorities said the crew member had a cough, fever, and associated muscle pains with a travel history to a country of interest relating to the coronavirus. At number 1, the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, says the Jamaican economy grew by 0.1% for the October to December quarter of 2019. Meanwhile, PIOJ Director General Dr. Wayne Henry says the outbreak of the coronavirus could potentially impact the local economy. This, he said, would largely be due to travel restrictions implemented to stem the spread of the virus, as well as the impact of the slowdown in the Chinese economy on global trade and investment flows.
Up next, occupational safety for gas station workers, right here on Point.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters.
Call us at 876-291-6233 or 876-376-4225. Email sales@batvja.com.
Welcome back to On Point. Now, a massive fire broke out at the Fesco gas station, the Heavens Fesco in Mandeville last week Friday, and it's really sparked conversation around regulation and safety at gas stations. Well, here's a look at what we know so far.
A usually busy Friday evening at Heavens Fesco gas station in Mandeville turned deadly on Friday, February 21. Reports are that there was a leak at one of the petrol pumps at the station. As observed in this video, there was fuel gushing as a man tried to stop the leak. But just moments later, a massive explosion causing pandemonium in the town. Passers-by looked on as the fire blazed. In the aftermath, destruction. Some 10 vehicles were destroyed. The Jamaica Constabulary Forces Forensic Unit, along with the Jamaica Fire Brigade and respective insurance teams, continue to do investigations. However, so far, the damage is estimated at about 35 million Jamaican dollars. This fire has raised major concerns about the training of gas station workers and the standard operating procedures during emergencies.
And join us now to talk about safety on the job for gas station workers is safety consultant Keith Davis. Welcome to On Point.
Thank you for having me.
Before we even get into the interview, I want to know which corporate entities are actually paying for a safety consultant.
There are many corporate entities out there that pays for safety consultants. Safety is very vital for the workforce, the workplace. It's important. It costs corporate entities a lot of money each year for injuries that are occurring on the job, employee injuries. Incidents, some not really resulting in injuries, but damage to property. It also resulting in increasing insurance premiums. So corporate entities are interested in safety.
Got you.
Do we have any numbers you can share? I mean, what is the cost of lack of safety or anything like that, insurance premiums going
Well, in Jamaica, there's not a lot of statistics around this. I mean, I think the ministry, the government could do a little better job in terms of gathering more data on the amount of accidents that are occurring in the workplace and resulting in injuries. You probably could get some amount of figure, but if you look at the international scene in the US, for example, the Bureau of Labor Statistics in the US collects statistics each year, and it costs companies billions of dollars in terms of injury, employment benefits, and also in terms of losses. So it's important to have a good, rigid safety program running in a corporate entity.
Let's start by establishing, we don't hear about gas station issues often in Jamaica. It's not the kind of story where we hear on a regular basis that there are fire incidents happening at fuel stations. So something must be going right. True or false?
Not necessarily. The fact that you have not heard about an accident could very well mean that people have been getting away with all these practices over the years. If you look at what happened in Mandeville, you realize that these practices are something that they have been doing over a period of time, and what happened is we're just caught up. It just caught up with us.
What happened, as far as you know?
So what I will tell you is what I have seen on the videos that are circulating on social media.
And you're looking at that with an eye of a trained safety professional.
Exactly. I know that they would have started some investigation, and there are many agencies that would have been involved in that. So what I can tell you is basically from what you would have seen on the videos that are, circulating on social media. And let me just say, we lost a life that day.
Right.
And I really want to take this time to send condolences to Mr. Farquharson and, to his family and friends, and then to wish those that are in, nursing injuries a speedy recovery.
Yeah.
Now, what happened that day was unfortunate and should really not have, it could have been prevented. One of the things I want to talk a little bit about is the dynamics of a fire, right? For a fire to get going, you really need three main components. You need a fuel, you need a heat and ignition source, and you also need oxygen. All three components in adequate supply, I said adequate supply, can start a fire.
Fuel are plenty at a gas station. So talk about the other two.
Abundance of fuel at gas stations. Oxygen is also in abundance in the atmosphere. 21% of the atmosphere is made up of oxygen. But you also have ignition or heat sources now. Now in a gas station, what are some of the heat sources that we find? Motor vehicles coming in with engines running. The engines are hot.
Yeah.
You have tailpipes or mufflers on these motor vehicles, right? Those are the two main ignition sources, right, that you will find in an environment like that. And when you look at the video, you saw some others. You had people there on cell phones, right, that also a potential ignition source. So that alone, with the vapor out from the fuel emanating in the atmosphere, definitely could cause an explosion.
Unruly drivers have been a pain for gas station owners on a regular basis. You pull into the petrol station, you're fueling up, it's the time for you to make the phone call and catch up with all the people that you haven't caught up with for the day. And I think there are gas stations who have gotten to a place where they don't even try to tell you to turn off the cell phone anymore because of the abuse that's been meted out to them by people who are fueling up at the pump. You have taxi drivers who use it as a pickup and loading bay. There are tough people that attendants at gas stations have to contend with every day that make adhering to safety and security difficult.
Well, I have been to places overseas, Patria, Dennis, that I've seen gas station attendants or persons in the station telling people not to get on their phone or get off their phones, right? If we probably look at not serving these unruly motorists, as you call them, if they are either on their phones, or one other thing I need to also explain, even the basic habit of not turning off your engines when you get into a petrol station is also something that we need to consider. In coming to this interview, I stopped at about 6 different gas stations, and there are attendants serving persons while your engines were running. So those are some key things that we need to look at generally as a...
But let me ask you, isn't there a safety code for this particular industry that's issued and monitored by the JGRA, for example? Because I think that something like this that can cause so much damage? I mean, we should have some guidelines around it.
Well, there are regulations out there. There's the Petroleum Quality Control Act, for example, that guides the gas station owners. But if you walk through that act, most of it is centered around the quality control of petrol. So we want to make sure that the petrol is of a good quality for your car engine. It governs that a lot. The
pumps are inspected, though, the actual physical pumps.
Yes, they are, and that is also governed
basis.
under that act as well. In terms of, they have some amount of safety aspect to it, but the rigid safety program that you're expecting from the gas station owners, I mean, the act that we are expecting to do something like that is the Jamaica Occupational Safety and Health Act, and that is still yet to be passed. That would have had regulations to guide and govern how gas station owners operate, how the staff operate, and so on. One other thing I picked up from the video, for example, was what was happening when the fuel, what the staff were doing when the fuel was flowing out on the ground. And it brings into question the whole issue of training. Now, training, I mean, is a broad issue because the gas station owners may say, yes, we are administering training, but how often are we doing training? Do we do training to new people when they come on site? I stopped at one. I asked one of the attendants today when I was coming in about whether or not she has been trained, and she said she was there from December working at a service station and has gotten some training around the commercial activities at the pump.
Not safety.
Not so much on the safety aspect.
But the other reality that you must contend with is folks who work at a gas station are not the best paid, and the turnover in a gas station is high. So how do you keep up with the kind of robust, rigorous training that is required that can't happen in a 1 week or a 2 weeks if your turnover is high? How you do it?
But how did you find the time to do the commercial side of the training? Now, you see where the priority lies.
Yes.
The priority is on the commercial side.
The money
I
earning.
need to make sure that when you're dispensing the fuel, you don't over-dispense. That's where the priority lies.
Yes.
But how about the...
But there are controls. I mean, I know pumps should have controls.
Yes.
That when the fuel get up to a certain point, it stops.
Right.
And cut off, which means that it would mean in a situation like that, maybe it wasn't working, eh?
Well, in that instance, you're talking about the nozzle that you place into the tank.
Right.
When it gets to a certain point, it shuts
Yes.
off. But there are also emergency switches that should be in place at the gas stations. The videos that I've seen did not show clearly whether the leak was coming from the nozzle or the pump itself. But one thing for sure, and I have a video that I'd want you to show your viewers on the emergency shut-off switch that should be available at gas stations. And
all gas stations?
All gas stations should have one. I mean, the video clearly shows, and this is not here now, this is a video showing somebody narrating the activities at a pump overseas. But it shows clearly that you should have an emergency shut-off switch labeled, right? And it is placed somewhere nearby, and all the staffs are trained how to operate it. You push it, and it should shut off the power on the pump, hence stopping the pump totally.
Immediately, I also think that clearly there must be some kind of evacuation plan for hazardous areas, not just gas stations.
Yes.
But if you've got somewhere that there is the risk of danger, and my father always says, bake him, go and get burned. Something will happen.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What is the evacuation plan for clearing a gas station in a town center where if there is something wrong, you are talking about hundreds of people at risk?
And that should really come through planning. So we need planning at these different entities. Now, every gas station may have different circumstances because of their location, and how many persons may use that gas station at any point in time. But that comes through emergency planning. And if we're dealing with dangerous goods like hazardous goods like gasoline, I mean, the gas station owners, the JGRA, or all those authorities really need to come together to make sure that these are in place.
But Mr. Davis, I mean, following up on what Patria is asking, because that's a very important question, Patria.
Yes.
Should there be regulations or rules governing this? Because gas stations are in built-up areas, eh?
Yes.
Where a lot of people can be at risk.
School next door.
Yeah.
Right.
Houses next door, you know?
I know the NEPA has some guidelines on how gas stations and where they are located. They probably would be better able to explain a little bit more on that, and they would also, you know, look at the environmental aspect as well. But yes, there certainly has a need. There's a need now to look back at the regulation to see where these gaps are, and to see what we need to do to prevent, you know, that tragedy that happened in Mandeville.
Keith Davis, we thank you for your insights inside On Point today. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. We take a break, folks. When we come back, more On Point.
Your weekly dose of information on nutrition, wellness, and fitness. Discover ways to nurture your mind, body, and spirit.
I'm 36. I'm a husband, a manager, and still very good looking. In 2 hours, I have the most important meeting of my life. But first, it's time to play. Suzuki Vitara.
Welcome back to On Point, folks. The Jamaica Music Conference has been on the Reggae Month calendar from about 2013, and it's a space where new professionals in the industry, established professionals in the industry can get together with their compatriots and really think through where the industry is going, and we're talking about it right here on Point.
And joining us now to speak about the conference, which took place from February 13th to 16th, is the conference's director, Joan Webley, and culture expert, Clyde McKenzie.
Hey,
welcome
folks.
to On Point.
Thank you very much for having us.
You give him about 10.
Oh, geez. Let's talk a little bit about the conference and what the objectives are. Why is this an important part of the February discussion?
Well, first of all, I'm really just one of a team that's been putting this conference together for years. I'm not the only director by any means, and I think that's what's made it so special. The conference is really designed to focus on, as it says, the music business. Those kinds of extra elements needed to make sure that the raw talent that is here can be refined and really be supported to be the bigger international success that's possible. So the Jamaica Music Conference, what we've been able to kind of cultivate over the few years is, as you rightly mentioned, a safe space for information exchange. So you have industry experts as artists as well as the business side coming together and connecting in a really level platform and with a really open, wanting to connect, wanting to share way that persons are saying they haven't experienced quite like that before.
I want to hear a little bit more about that, because in truth, everybody in that room is technically a competitor. Everybody in that room is up for the same gig, is vying for the same entertainment dollar, and traditionally, if we think about hardcore business, competitors keep trade secrets. Why are they open and honest and willing to share? at the conference?
Because we all recognize that this industry or this market is big enough for all of us, for what this Jamaican music industry is really bringing to the world. So what you're finding happening at the Jamaica Music Conference is persons moving past themselves and wanting to build the bridges that have prevented us traditionally from moving forward. Because this is not a today problem, the issues that we're facing. And we're recognizing it's been far too long. It's too long that we don't own our publishing properly, or that we don't seem to navigate the business properly, that we don't record on the split sheets like we should. And we want to make sure that we can't have any excuses anymore to say we weren't aware or we were tricked. We need to all do better. And so you're finding persons coming together like never before to share this information.
Right, let me ask you, because there are many conferences every year, right? So since 2013. Have we made any progress since 2013 in terms of how we conduct the music business? Because it seems like I still hear the same cry like I did.
No, I want to address, before I go directly to you, I want to address something that Patricia said to Joan, which is cultural goods are different in terms of how they are consumed. It's not
apples for apples, and you can't eat anymore.
It's not. If I produce a cultural product, it can be really appreciated and accepted and consumed by hundreds, thousands of people, and there's no diminution in its value. So in terms of the competitive nature of the business, I mean, it's not like you're a manufacturer and therefore, you're displacing somebody with your cultural goods or your cultural product. So, I mean,
music
in terms
is
of
different.
music and the creative goods and cultural goods are different in terms of how they're consumed and how they are produced. So it is not as stark in terms of competition and in terms of displacement as in other fields.
Except a promoter cannot book 50 reggae artists on a show. He's gonna book the top 5.
Well, in some terms, yes and no, because he's also limited by his capacity to attract people.
Yes.
So, I mean, the fact is he might be able to get 50 artists if he's able to do the things that will attract in terms of sponsorship, in terms of all those things, So it is not as competitive as the manufacturing.
And truth be told though, Petria, there is the competition, but the fact is that the industry is realizing it hasn't worked. What we really need to do for Jamaica to take a bigger stake in the international music marketplace, which is where we need to be, is build more bridges between us here and the diaspora, who is doing things all around the world. And so that's what you're seeing happening. It's not because the crab in a barrel mentality that affects other industries isn't in the music industry. That's there. But we're moving past that.
It's a lack of
now.
Understanding,
Yeah.
when people display that kind of behavior.
But
going back to the question,
have
we been making progress? I think you have to view this not in terms of radical shifts, but actually incremental growth. The fact is, I think the powers that be, in terms of traditional sources of capital, in terms of government regulation, they've taken a while to get around to the appreciation of the value of this. People have been preaching for the longest while and saying, look, this is a way to growth and development and so on. And it has been slow. I think people have taken their time to get around. But I think the message is getting through. And I think the more of these kinds of discussions, the GMC and all these other fora that we have, is the better it will be for these kinds of thinking to percolate and throughout the rest of the society, and people understand that, look, this is the way you're going to make some serious money as far as this economy is concerned, because this is where we have a real natural advantage.
We want to talk a little bit about the belief of Jamaica in reggae music. It's not lost on me that it took Joe Bogdanovich from foreign to come here, recognize that Jamaican music can sell a 2-night festival exclusively, put his money behind it, and change what Sumfest used to be. It's not headline or the greatest reggae show on earth, headlined by the greatest foreign acts on earth anymore, and the numbers haven't changed. Why did it take a foreigner to recognize that we can do it?
Sometimes they're better at seeing what we have than we are. And it's not, I wouldn't say it's an indictment. It is the way human beings are. So many times you're so close to the system that you are not really as keen about what is happening around you as somebody who has a little bit of distance from the thing and able to see what's happening. And we have to commend Joe because he really came in, and I think the people at first didn't understand because, you know, there was some philosophical confusion as to what it should be. But I think he came in and he crystallized exactly what it should be. It should be a reggae. It should be a reggae show, and people understand that. So sometimes it's how you market, sometimes it's how you refine your product. And I think in terms of his decision, because there were a number of factors which caused that too. One of which was the uncertainty, the exchange rate. Because you can't, I mean, this year an artist will charge you $100,000 and he charges you $100,000 next year. But I mean, in terms of Jamaican dollars, is a vast difference. So, I mean, all of those factors came into play, I think, in making that decision.
John? Why it was that it was Joe Bogdanovich that had to come here? It's something that I think of all the time. I'm always puzzled as to why it is our business community doesn't take our entertainment value more seriously. There's been a disconnect for years, and I don't know if it's that we're not speaking the same language. But the fact is that as far back as 2008, the research was done by an economist. So it's not just the music industry saying we're important. Vanus James came under a project funded by the World Intellectual Property Organization, and he quantified the impact of the Jamaican music industry and entertainment industry to our GDP. And he showed how the data that was being collected by Statin and other mechanisms could be used to give us that report annually. So we could actually quantify and see where this growth is going. But for some reason, we think it's just a song and dance, wash your foot thing, and we allow the rest of the world to capitalize on this. Whereas our business community here, I would really encourage the business community to do more with what we have at home.
Yeah, picking up on that though, because I mean, I commend, well, I don't know if Clyde don't mind you honest, but I commend the whole thing about what Joe has done. He has done very well with the festival, right? But I went to the last one and I was disappointed in one respect. I like the fact that he has got the local artists on, right? But we're still not understanding how to anticipate the show that we need to put on. So it was too crowded.
That's part of the success.
No,
I understand. Not going to be empty because nobody not going to see
but what we need to do, if we are going to have something of an international flavor, we have to plan for these things, ensure that, you know.
So it's the biggest acts you're talking about, the biggest reggae acts.
Yeah, and we have to plan for it. We can't have people packed in like sardines and that sort of thing. And I'm not discounting what he has done, you know. But that is one of the things. I come back to the old business again, Clyde, because I don't know that we've capitalized enough based on the fact that I don't think we plan enough and go about it.
We're not being creative enough. We're not being creative enough.
No, because
we're not being innovative.
This is a critical point, because one of the reasons why Joe might be faced with the problem of packing it in or packing people in is the fact that the venues are not available. I mean, you have Plantation Cove is great, but and fabulous, but you need others, and I know efforts are being made to get Catherine Hall to a state where it's expanding.
But and before you talk, but Clyde, my point is this, you know, and it's my same thing with the jazz festival. When it was at Cinnamon Hill, it was great, right? And when you have a demand for a product, you know, it don't mean that you satisfy or increase your profits by everybody coming. You might restrict it because you want to preserve the quality.
You might raise the price.
Exactly, raise the price and restrict who come so that you preserve the quality of the product. And that's what I'm saying. You understand?
Yeah, well, part of that is also...
Don't forget your point, John.
Part of that is going to be due to, you know, the whole question of staging festivals instead of staging shows too.
Right.
Because one of the things is that we have been hooked on putting on concerts rather than making sure that you take as much from the visitors who come here with all the various activities in terms of symposium,
and
all of that.
Festivals.
And stage festivals.
Right.
Rebel is getting that right.
That's where you need to be going.
He's grown, moved the venue, 2-day concert. It used to be a one event. He's getting that formula right. Joe, I think, is also working
moving in that direction.
The mechanics to get that formula right.
He's going in that direction. Definitely.
Joan, you wanted to say?
No, I just wanted, I'm loving the conversation that we're having here. And again, if shameless plug, it is reminiscent of what took place over the last 4 days at the Jamaica Music Conference. You mentioned progress and what is happening. The whole theme was Reggae Mecca Jamaica Vision 2020. And it's a play on the Vision 2030 plan. We recognize we're 10 years out. And so the industry got together. We actually assembled a think tank. Clyde was a part of that. Danny Pepperseed from the UK was a part of that. Cleveland Steely, Abishai Hoylett from Bebel Rock. So quite a diverse representation of the industry. And what we've actually come up with are concrete recommendations for what we see as needing to happen over the next 10 years. And that think tank actually have asked not to be disbanded. So we're going to be monitoring what we're recommending over these next 10 years because, as Clyde has rightly said, it's not a magic trick, it's not an abracadabra situation. It's intentional conversation that's going to allow us to implement the great plans that we have.
What needs to change?
You know, as I just said, what actually needs for the recommendations? Well, I'm happy that you asked. Yes. One of the main things is to put in place those structures that need to actually make Jamaica become a cultural refinery, not just a place where the raw material is. So publishing warehouse or framework, something that could even be an IPO listing so the nation gets to be involved in helping to cultivate and push the new talent forward.
Yes. So
enacting the uplift. And then starting at the base.
Yeah, we're always
starting at the
primary
base.
producers.
Speaking of primary schools, starting at the base, we have an educational plan, putting music in schools in a more meaningful way that has actually been developed but not enacted.
Yes.
So the think tank is saying these are the things that if you want to become a cultural superhost, you have to be operating through that lens at all times. You know, really preparing your stakeholders to be an active part in this. And this year at JMC, Wisinko came on board, KFC came on board, Corporate Jamaica came on board like never before. Solid Agency joined with us for the first time. The industry bought into its own conference for the first time in a really solid way. And I feel like it's a critical turning point for us.
Mm-hmm. Still heartbreaking that we haven't figured out a model to be able to remunerate those who are in the industry in a real and meaningful way. And when I sit down and I hear that our royalties are going primarily outside of Jamaica, when you have radio stations in Jamaica that are 100% playing reggae music, not one, not two.
But you hear
when you go to the dance, it's 100%.
But our collecting societies are in court.
Some of them, unfortunately, are not paying over to the collective management organization. And I mean, this is illegal. And I mean, I don't want to say too much about it because it's in court.
It's literally in court.
But the fact is, what Joan is saying about ensuring that we add value at the various stages of the value chain is what is important. So, for example, I always tell people, I say, you have management. If you have good management, he can add or she can add value to you because he can negotiate a better deal. Yeah. So if we're supposed to get a man offer you 10%, but your management is going to get 15 or 20. Yeah. You know, so these are things, I mean, it happens every day. And what we have to do, I mean, education, training is a critical part. Preservation, innovation, because a lot of times we don't know the value of preservation. So museums, halls of fame, all of these things are attractions that generate revenue. We need to be looking at award show. We need to be looking at those. Absolutely. How do we make money from those? But preservation in terms of just looking back is critical, and we need that along with the innovation, because I think those are the two pillars. And then, of course, we're going to have to get funding and financing.
Ladies and gentlemen, let the music play. I am all for it. Let us have the necessary conversations and ensure that reggae music lives.
The JMC effect
continues. We'll take a quick break and come back with more On Point.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters.
Call us at 876-291-6233 or 876-376-4225. Email sales@batvja.com.
Hi, I'm Edmund Bartlett, Minister of Tourism, and you are watching Business Access TV. Serious about business.
The Good Life, your weekly dose of information on nutrition, wellness, and fitness. Discover ways to nurture your mind, body, and spirit.
Welcome back to On Point. The global cultural and creative industry is worth billions, and it's expected to grow. Just how much? Here are the numbers.
Cumulatively, the global cultural and creative industries raked in $2.25 billion in revenue for 2019. This accounted for 3% of the global domestic product GDP. Some 29.5 million jobs are created globally through this industry. That's about 1% of the global labor force. The top 3 employers are visual arts with 6.73 million persons. Almost 3.7 million people are in the book industry and some 4 million in the music industry.
And our On Point team hit the streets and asked, is enough being spent to develop Jamaica's creative industries?
The interest is there for people, but I don't know if the money is being spent.
Jamaica has, we've changed a lot where that's concerned, but we have a far way to go. There's so many artists in Jamaica, musicians, painters, anything you can think of it. Anything you can think of it in Jamaica. So the government needs to spend more money there to just take us to the world.
I think the Minister of Culture and Mrs. Babsy Grange, I think she's doing a good job in terms of, keeping it alive. But I think they need to do more, especially with dancehall, because it's going. I think our dancehall is dying, especially with the reggaeton and the Afrobeat and all of that. We need to do more.
No, I don't think the government is actually spending enough money on our creative industries, and education is not all for everyone out there, because not everyone is book smart, and these things are skills that person can go into and use up their craft. And it's also putting us on the international market, so why not put it out there? Why not invest in it? It's our youths we're talking about, and they're our future.
I do personally believe that the government could spend more on the cultural and creative industries. Jamaica has a wealth of talent running through its veins, and the government isn't doing enough to capitalize on the talent that lies within us that could be manifested on the international stage.
Come on already. I think it's just enough. I think it can be a little better, but enough is the right word right now.
No, I think the government really needs to invest more in our cultural aspect. It doesn't matter what aspect of the culture they want to do, whether it's gospel or reggae, they definitely need to put some more into it.
I don't think the government is spending enough to educate our people upon our culture. They are spending more based on importing and taxation and stuff like that. But it would be good if the Ministry of Culture could actually spend more in teaching our culture in our schools and society.
Cameo takes you behind the scenes of Jamaica's exploding creative industries to give you an insider's look at how creatives get the job done.
I'm really picky about how we treat our customers.
As creative people, we went a little bit over the top.
Each week, we interview innovators leading the charge in their industry. The chaos of creativity meets the stricture of structure on Business Access TV's Cameo.
I started out selling out of the trunk of my car.
If everybody think the same way, everybody going in the same line.
Being an entrepreneur takes everything that you've got.
Weekends? What's weekends? We work on a weekend.
There are real opportunities everywhere you look.
But you have to have the passion.
If I do my part well, then everything is okay.
We believed in ourselves and our families believed in us.
Being convinced of this great opportunity, why we are all here doing what we're doing now.
What a discussion.
Yeah, two very good discussions. I mean, the first one on the safety. How long have we been hearing about OSHA now? It is in place?
I actually don't know.
Because it's a while, you know.
Yeah.
It's a while, you know. And it seems like it's critical because based on the discussion we're having with Mr. Davis, it doesn't seem like we have any proper structure in place to deal with these things. And I mean, I think like a gas station, which is in built-up communities, and so many people are exposed to it.
And it is a literal lighter.
Yeah.
The whole thing is fuel. I mean, you get scared though if you start to think about all of the dangers and the hazards that are out there and how ill-prepared we are as a nation for some of those things. The reality is preparation comes at a cost.
Yeah.
But also so does being ill-prepared.
Well,
so you have to work on that trade-off.
The cost of not preparing is significant. So, you know, I think it's something we have to deal with.
I mean,
we definitely have to deal. I'd ask the JGRA to take that up, you know, and ensure that they deal with it as an umbrella organization.
I know the owners of the gas station, they're absolutely heartbroken about what's happened. And it is one of those institutions that has been a part of Mandeville for a very long time. It's not just the gas station, there are other businesses that are associated with it. So you think about life and life lost, but you also think about income and income lost, and you think about what could have been. I mean, the reality of that gas station is the reality of many other gas stations. That's a whole ecosystem unto itself. And the safety of the people not only work there, but the people who visit there on a regular basis to transact business. It's a lot to think about, but it's a lot that must be prepared for as best you can. Yeah. And then there's this other discussion that we had about the creative industries.
Interesting.
Absolutely. I could never understand why the greatest reggae show on earth was headlined by American acts year after year after year after year.
Which is one of the things I didn't like about it. Yeah, I didn't like that about it because it sort of diluted the reggae acts. And I think this is why Rebel Salute came on so strong, because it was the real, people used to say this is an authentic.
I remember when Tony's show was just a little thing down in St. Elizabeth. You go, you have a nice time and you come back. And then he totally outgrew that space. It was a one-night festival, and then he had to move it to St. Anna. And I actually have to big up the folks at Plantation Cove, because they clearly see a bigger vision, a bigger picture. I can't think of any other space in the country right now that can hold that kind of capacity. And it's a shame, because if this is our thing, I go to every Caribbean island and I hear reggae music. And they're owning it and claiming it as if it's their own, including non-English speaking Caribbean countries. If this is the home of reggae, we must put in the infrastructure to be able to own that in a big way and monetize it.
Yeah, and we haven't done that. And I mean, and not only this space, but we start something and we don't build on the quality. So the one that comes to mind, for example, for me is Jazz Festival. When it was at Cinnamon Hill, it was great. It was like a festival. You went there, you relaxed.
And
And then it became too commercialized. So what they were all about after a while is all about packing people into an area. And it's really short-sightedness. That is what I think like Rebel Salute has. You know, Tony, I think, has approached it in a very business-like, sustainable manner. And I want to see the same thing happen with Sumfest. So Sumfest now, the last time as I went, I said it was too packed. You know, that might be an oversight because it wasn't expected, but let's work on that for
I'll put one more
this
thing
year.
on the table as we wrap. I think when we think about the success in sport that we have had over the years, particularly track and field, and the work that we're putting from the basic school level, where every sports day you have picnic running against each other in a very competitive manner. There is training, and we approach it like a business. We here in Jamaica now have gotten to a place where we approach sport as a business, and there is a developmental culture of moving you up the ranks. Music is what takes a lot of poor people out of poverty. And if we approach music in the same kind of way, with the same kind of discipline, with the same kind of education around not just the talent, but the business
Treat it
of
as
the
a
music,
real profession.
watch it bloom. Watch it bloom.
Right.
That's where we're going to have to wrap it today, folks. I've got to say a big thank you to everybody who made the show possible today and every other day. Thanks also to you, the viewers, who tune in week after week. I'm Patricia K. Charles.
And I'm Dennis Strong. Until next week.
On Point was brought to you by Dargin Global.
In this 1 degree, you're able to do many things.
I think the feel found me.
I'd rather work with the deceased than work with the living.
Let us open your mind to careers you've never considered.
Miniature model maker. Game technician.
Animator.
With empowerment.
Career moves.
Anywhere money is, that's where I am.
It's arguably the most significant invention to come out of Jamaica in the last 2 decades. A medical doctor, a mechanical engineer, and a computer scientist used technology to develop a way to train heart surgeons across the globe more efficiently. The heart simulator developed at the UWI-Mona is now being used by several universities across the world to train surgeons. Professor Daniel Kaur, who worked on the project, says after shelving the first prototype and moving on to other projects, he and the other inventors involved received a call that would change everything.
So in late 2007, we hear from Dr. Richard Fines, who was at the time chairman of the American Board of Thoracic Surgery. He had seen a video that had been released along with a paper that we had published. And in the video, we were just showing a small clip of what the heart looked like while, in operation, in use. And he wrote to Dr. Ramphal, basically did a little internet search, tried to find him, sort of located an email address for him at UWI, by which time he had already left UWI, and wrote him and said, I saw this video, is it real? Because if that's real, I'd love to come to UWI to see it, and would you be willing to set it up for us, because we are examining possible simulation environment scenarios for the cardiac surgery training, and this is something that we would like to sort of take a look at just to see what it can do and whether it's good for us.
After some persuasion, the team decided to go to the University of North Carolina to set up the prototype.
First time set up, right? So all these prominent heart surgeons had just come in to take a look at what's going on, and everybody was kind of blown away at just how realistic the heart beating was, and how realistic the whole environment was. So they took out the video footage and took that to their annual meeting that year at the Society of Thoracic Surgeons. And with that video at that meeting, just sort of, caught the eye of everybody who was at that symposium that year. And that ended up getting us invited to technology symposium for cardiothoracic surgery. And we got re-invited year after year.
Soon after that, the UWI-Mona developed heart simulator was a sought-after tool when it came to training heart surgeons.
It then got to a point where other places wanted one. They kept saying, how can we get one of these at our institution? So it was kind of around that time, that was started around 2009, that we started talking about how to get multiple ones of these. And by around 2011, we had actually built them. So in that interim, we had negotiations, sort of thought about how to sort of make it a little more structured and sort of help ourselves get to the point where we could be talking to people who might want a license.
The simulator then ended up in some of the top medical schools in North America, revolutionizing the way heart surgeons were being trained.
Harvard's Mass General Hospital, University of Rochester, there is a University of North Carolina, Johns Hopkins, Vanderbilt, Mayo Clinic, University of Washington, and Stanford.
This was the first time ever heart surgeons in training were being exposed to real-life circumstances.
Kind of what I mentioned before, where you might have the pig's heart in a bowl, or I suppose if you're working with a cadaver, which is going to be realistic, but it's a dead person, but nothing where the heart is, or actually a live pig. That is the closest that you could come if you wanted to get a full-blown operating room scenario where you are standing around, there's a apparently living, beating heart, and you have to give the right instructions, and you have somebody controlling a pump, somebody controlling anesthesia, and then you have your partner in front of you, you're supposed to be giving the right instructions, and you're learning not just the specific procedures, but also the management of your team. The only way you could really reconstruct that without having a real patient on the table was a live pig. That was the closest you could come. So what our simulator was providing these guys with was a context in which they could reconstruct any scenario they wanted, when they wanted, at the time they wanted. So from the purpose of teaching, if today's lesson was to teach you something that hardly ever happens, they could make sure it's scheduled what's going to happen because you set the simulator up to deliver that. So for them, that was a great opportunity to change how training in cardiac surgery could work, right? And at the same time, you're getting this high fidelity model, right? So you're not putting any patients at risk. You have this model that looks real. It bleeds when you cut it. It has a pressure. It shows you a computer trace that looks like it's a real trace on a monitor. So for all intents and purposes, just because you set it up, it's not real. But for all intents and purposes, it looks like a patient on the table.
The heart simulator has not only used technology to totally revolutionize the way heart surgeons are trained, but it is also helping to better equip surgeons to deal with real-life situations in real time.
There are some well-rehearsed procedures, as in over time, they've developed some procedures to respond to a particular kind of emergency. But if you as a resident only get trained via the operating room, then the only scenarios that you become familiar with are the ones that you see. Now, of course, if you see 100 cases, 200 cases, then they start thinking, okay, you're ready, you're competent, you can go, and you are going to be certified as capable of practice on your own. But what if the scenario that we're worried about isn't one that occurs so frequently? It might be 1 in 1,000 cases, it might be 1 in 2,000 cases. Those are still potentially life-threatening. You still want somebody who's going to now become an attending to know how to deal with them. And in the old situation, before our simulator, the only way they would have really gotten that exposure is through a textbook or somebody telling them, if you ever encounter this is what you're supposed to do. So it's kind of a hypothetical, and the response is really a kind of theoretical response, or it's a hypothetical one anyway. With a simulator, we can now say, okay, next week's lesson is going to be how you deal with this. And I can tell you what you must do, and I can set up the simulator to make that emergency occur. So while you're doing your thing, suddenly something happens, and you say, what's going on? And it's for you to A, recognize that there's that emergency going on, and then B, act appropriately. So you can actually now practice that, which is not something that you could have done easier before.
The heart simulator is the first UE patent to be commercialized, and with the recent commitment from Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark to pump more government resources into research and development, it is hoped that more patented inventions coming out of the University of the West Indies can be commercialized.
business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales.